Welcome back to another beautiful day as we're out here in Italy overlooking the amazing Imola GP course, formerly known as the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. I am Kevin Garcia and welcome to the first day of Season 5. We had a little bit of a break from Season 4, but now we're back and I can't be any more glad to be back here with all of you. I am Kevin, and today joining me we have Amir. Amir, great day to be back. What can we expect from this new season?
Oh, absolutely. It's great to be back here, given the fact that we're here at Imola. Just a couple of weeks ago, of course, was the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We saw an absolute bang of race. Sorry, last week, in fact. This time last week was the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, but we're here in Imola, one of the most beautiful areas in all of Italy, and a great racetrack to boot. Plus, we got a great combination of car and track after this, so can't wait to get the ball rolling here for this season, Kev.
Yes, and absolutely. And just a reminder to everyone, you can see the socials on the screen. Make sure that you follow all of our social media as well as check the website frequently. We have a lot of changes this season compared to last season. One of those most notably being that last season we had only one race. So drivers could only participate in one class per day, which meant if you were in the AMX 0, you could not be in the AMX 10. So we had it changed up a little bit. We heard feedback from the drivers, feedback from the audience, everyone out there. So now drivers can participate in both races per day. But enough about just that. Like I said, we have plenty more to come this season, along with the introduction of a brand new class, AMX 20. So people like endurance races, people like GT cars. So we get more of what the people have asked for. But before we get into today's race, we have a few things to go over, a bit of housekeeping for today. And like we said, of course, the beautiful Imola. Last time we were here in Season 4, it was a great show, so I could expect nothing less today. But like I said, right now, AMX Season 5, we are now the AMX Sim Racing World Championship, starting today, May 25th, going all the way through August 18th. So there's plenty of time to get in here, guys, if you want to join. Plenty of time. Plenty of races. This season's prize pool is $15,000 plus next level racing gear. And our race formats are as follows, similar to last season's. We have a 20-minute qualifying, which results in a top 15 reverse grid. Going into heat number 1 of 20 minutes, into another top 15 reverse grid, and into that second heat again of 20 minutes. If you are driving in this championship, driver cams are required. You can get the link on our Discord or make sure to go to our website for more details about that. The payouts are balances every $100 paid out each month. So once you hit that $100 threshold, expect to get some money in your bank account. Race days are Saturdays and Sundays. So that is one more change from last season. Last season, we also had one more race day, but this time around, we're just going to be on Saturdays and Sundays, 2 races per day. Again, sign up anytime at amxrace.com. We love seeing all the newcomers and all of the old comers as well. Our schedule is also very similar with just a couple little changes, but again, Saturdays and Sundays, we do have AMX 5 starting at 5:50 p.m., followed by a second race at 7:20 p.m. One of the changes, if you're looking on the screen, you can see now, is that we are doing the AMX 0 races and AMX 20 races. So those will be every other week. So once again, please check the website for the full schedule. Feel free to join the Discord for more updates as we go on. So every other week, we'll have nothing but AMX 5, and then on the off weeks or the alternate weeks, we'll have AMX 0, AMX 20 on those Sundays. So again, with the prize pool, there is money to be won by being the fastest as well. Some of the best drivers all the way through the top 15 places. So qualifying for first place getting $15, second place $10, and third place $9, and so on, all the way down into 15th place. And then for both heat number 1 and heat number 2, of course, having those reverse grids, the same will be similar: $15, $10, $9, and so forth, all the way down into 15th place. And if you happen to manage and get the fastest lap during heat 1 or heat 2, you get an additional couple dollars added on. Minimum road iRating is 2,000 iRating for AMX 5, and also the total prize pool for the AMX 5 races totals up to $250. So plenty of prize money to be given away. Of course, we're in week 1, but we have plenty to give away all season long. And right now we do have a current promotion for those wanting to get in on the races. So save 30% right now with our AMX season pass. So we do have for AMX or iRacing, we are also doing Assetto Corsa Competizione, again backed by popular demand. And for our AMX 20, of course, that new category this season, a little bit longer races, a little bit more of a prize pool for those as well. So head on over to amxrace.com, pick up your season pass, and get in on these races to win some amazing prizes. And now, Amir, going to head it over to you to give a little bit more info on what we're doing in today's first race.
Thanks for the introduction, Kevin, there. And yes, that is a picturesque view, isn't it? Though 30 years ago, it was a completely different picture in light of what happened to both Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna, but the world has definitely been healing since then. And in particular, the Imola circuit. Look at this, turn number 1 and 2 at Tamburello, what used to be a fast left sweep, now is a chicane that's attenuated also by more chicanes later on the lap. Opened in 1953, what used to be a road course that opened to motorcycles, it became a permanent facility by the 60s, and measuring about 4.9 kilometers, it is pretty much the bona fide Grand Prix track in Europe. But it has its challenges, and no doubt the drivers will be relishing it in the cars that we're going to feature right after this. But I can't think of a better place to start of the season, Kev. And next is the cars in question, the weapons of choice. We saw last season how these cars provided some of the best racing action throughout the entire season, and they're back here by popular demand, and we even got the drivers to match as well. The TCR class from 315 brake horsepower up to 350, front wheel drive, 1.2 to 1.5 tons, but the sequential gearbox really does help these drivers, especially when they try to get through the gears, and they have a selection of 4 cars from 3 different manufacturers to choose from. The most popular and the most prevalent car last season was the Audi RS3 LMS, but it looks as though this particular season it might just be a bit more eclectic compared to last, but no doubt the racing will still be just about as frenetic as we would expect to come to see when we get these cars going on track, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely. I love to see the TCR cars. We had some great action last season, so it's going to be great to see what we have now. So we're going to head on into our qualifying, check up with our drivers, see where they're at, see who's leading. And just a quick reminder from last season, season 4, we did have our champ of this class, Kieran Harrison, who walked away with quad keys. So let's see if he will be in championship contention again this year. I have absolutely no doubt that he will be, especially with these TCR cars. This is definitely his bread and butter. But of course, we have plenty of drivers out here too that we're not going to count anyone down and out this early in the season. Of course, like I said, it's the first race of the season. Anything can happen, but definitely one driver to watch is going to be Kieran Harrison.
Yeah, like that new term feeling, isn't it? Everyone comes in feeling, oh, this is a lot of optimism. What can we do for this upcoming season? But for other drivers, it's just business. And like you mentioned, Kieran Harrison, definitely be one of those guys in the front alongside Gal Valero and Corentin Guinness, who unfortunately has not been in the races as of late. But if he is around, you can bet he'll be at the top of the time, David.
Yeah, and we can see right now, talking about timing, we do have Kieran Harrison so far setting the fastest lap of qualifying with a 1:54.767. So only just a few hundredths off of that pace is Dino Filippa sitting in second place, and also Kyle Valero only 1/1000 off of Dino Filippo's time as well. So as we can see right here, the top 3 setting amazing times out here at Imola. And of course, you know, it's most known for the Grand Prix, for Formula One, as we seen last week, and Max Verstappen taking home another win out there. But again, here too, speaking of Max Verstappen, also he was sim racing last week, and so he's jumped in here a few times with us for some of these AMX races, of course, as well as other Team Redline drivers. So we'll have to wait and see throughout the season what other real-life drivers we have coming into this series. So that's always a great time to see a couple of the drivers right there just letting the traffic go by. So we are 13, almost 14 minutes into this 20-minute qualifying session. So we have a few more attempts for these drivers to set some of their best lap times.
Indeed, and speaking of real-world drivers, of course, Max won here as well in AMX 10, incidentally, in the GT3 cars. Yes, he won the first heat, and boy, did he do it with having to just thread through the needle of an accident that happened in front of him and just snatch that one. So for him, winning at Emilia-Romagna will be a familiar feeling. But going back to that first point, other drivers, we had drivers from TC2000, incidentally, the Argentinian touring car champion racing here before, a few drivers there, and of course Brazilian stock cars. So we really have a big mix of drivers from multiple disciplines racing around the world here. Can't wait to see what the Americas can offer other than just the Brazilians and the Argentines in the future.
Yeah, we have a great matchup today. I'm looking right now, it does look like Kieran Harrison right now is the only person from the UK, as well as another person, Tim State, only person from United States, only person from North America right now actually in the grid. It does look like we have quite a stacked lineup from the Argentinians and the Brazilians today. So definitely a big South American grid out here today. And of course, like I mentioned, one of the most unfortunate accidents that has happened has been from the death of Ayrton Senna. So I would expect that we could see a lot of people out here being able to see Senna livery tributes and a few other things going on today.
Yeah, apologies for the Discord sound there. That was a bit of a slight glitch, but yeah, it looks as though in terms of liveries, it's as usual. Some guys running their actual team colors, whereas Dino Filippo has been running this similar red with blue stripe on the top for the last season anyway, so he's keeping the consistency up. Maybe he's part of a team. We're not really sure if he has any affiliations, but no doubt, nothing can question about his skills. He definitely has earned his place here among the TCR drivers who are really fast, with a couple of wins and gutsy drives last season. Now this season, he might want to try to aim for the championship. Now, but we're on board with Rick Resende, the only driver in the Hyundai Elantra, incidentally. He's the one that has been the R1 out among the sea of Audis. And looks as though time so far, not up to what he would be setting, but no doubt he will definitely be going up his way through the field much later. Or he will try just to start up in front and get an easy dub to start off the account. But for the time being, at least, E12 for the Brazilian, driving in the McDonald's colored car, incidentally the same colors as Tony Kanan's first ever in the car too. Oh, on the screen here, if the drivers are seeing, or in this case the viewer at home is seeing those little bars on the side, well, this is a bit of a refresher. If you're seeing purple, that means that's the ultimate fastest time in the entire session in the sector. And if you go purple overall, you can see how guys like Dino Filippo managed to upstage Kieran Harrison. He had purples in a few sectors. Greens for personal best, where you can see Tim State having an improvement in sector number 2. And yellow is not improved, but you can still find the time. And case in point, why Guy Valero has improved any time, because he really is working those front tires, trying to get it up to heat and get it on for the next lap. So he winded it up, got a bit of a gap from the drivers from the drivers in front and rear, to just have pretty much no one in his vicinity, and a clear run towards the start finish line to start yet another one, because he only has at least one more lap left to go here. About 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock before qualifying comes to a close, and bang on to you there. Valero really timed it to perfection, whereas Kieran Harrison, he's making the run for the line just about enough time to complete it here. He's got a purple sector in between. Will it be enough to re-snatch pole position here from Filippo? You bet it is. A 54.5, a clear 10th ahead of Dino Filippo. So Filippo then now has the gauntlet being thrown at him, and he's trying to actually smash it. But I believe he is on track right now, seeing on the timing screen. Yep, he is. So he is also on one final flying lap. There he is there on screen behind Jackson Resende. We're on reviewing now with a brand new driver for this season, Alberto Senao. Not sure if there's an in his name there, but we'll call him Senao for now. Otherwise, it would be Senao. Driving in a Honda, incidentally, as well. So not many drivers have chosen a Honda in the past few races in the TCR category we've seen towards the end of last season. But nice to see that the Japanese manufacturer is represented here. Him and Kyle Gaspar being the two only Honda drivers on the grid. Meanwhile,
yeah, last season we've seen a lot of the Audis coming out onto the field. So it's really nice to see a little bit more Hondas and Hyundais out here today. Right here we get a lot of people asking too of like, since there was so many Audis out on the season last season out for these TCR races, there's a lot of people, are they faster than the other ones? I mean, a lot of that comes down to personal preference. There is, that addition of some of these having all-wheel drive versus the front-wheel drive. So, right there, just that Audi, a lot of it comes down to driver comfort, comes down to how well they know the car on these courses. So, especially some of these faster courses like Imola, a lot of people really tend to favor some of these Audis. But as we're coming into, we see Gael Valero. Will he be able to improve his time? He does. Now he's back up into second place with the 154.646. So only a few seconds left here in qualifying. This may very well be where we have our drivers.
Yeah, incidentally, the Audi isn't the most powerful car in the entire field. That belongs to the Elantra. But regardless, it has a bit more grunt on the straights, which you have in spades here in Imola. But Harrison making it work towards the end and claims the first pole position of the season. So he'll say, yep, there's the gauntlet, take it.
Awesome. And like we said, a reminder for everyone, the best qualifying, they do get cash prizes for it. And that Kieran Harrison walking away of your BenQ session winner. So Kieran Harrison coming in at first place. In second place, Gael Valero. Third place, Dino Filippo. Coming in fourth, we have Marcelo Reales. Fifth place, Pedro Dean. Sixth, Tobias Soriano. Seventh place, Martin Chico. Eighth, Gaston Culavi. Ninth place, Alberto Senao. 10th place, Santiago Aguiar. Coming in 11th, Caio Gaspar. 12th, Jackson Asenge. 13th, Peter Zuba. 14th, Diego Villarreal. 15th, Tim State. And rounding it out in 16th, we have Evandro Dantas. So with that reverse grid coming up, that will mean Dantas is going to be sitting on that pole position going into heat number 1. Of course, there was a few people asking about that, whether or not we're going to keep the reverse grids. And it seems like the amount of action it goes to show, because that way, a lot of people, it's controversial at times whether or not we're going to go reverse grid, just depending on, hey, those people, they got first qualifying. They were the fastest in qualifying, so that should mean they should get pole. But this really goes to show in this championship, the drivers that are peak performers will be able to definitely, time and time again, we've seen, battle it out throughout, and we always get those midfield battles due to the reverse grid. So fan favorite, I know one of my favorite things. I love seeing this. But we are moments away from going green here in heat number 1.
But yeah, the reverse grid races really offer up on the best action as we get to see the lights come on for the first race of the season, Kevin.
Green flag, green flag.
And there's the green flag, so we are off. Right now, it looks like Tim Stay is leading the pack, followed by Villarreal and Peter Zuba. But we'll see, of course, turn 1, these guys back on cold tires. Anything can happen as we go into that first turn. Tim Stay being able to hold off Villarreal. And we have 3 right in the middle of the pack. It looks like they're Gaspar. Going off the road. Oh no, we already have one car off in one turn. A bit of contact there as well. These guys are coming in super aggressive. They want that win, but that's letting the leaders get already a little bit of a head start on them. Still 3 wide, and we have a spin out right here in the midfield. That looks like that might be Dantas going back, and we also have Senao back there, so a couple people getting caught up in that incident. You see someone's bumper finally flying off the track.
Oh, messy start there at the beginning there, Kevin. And it all kicked off when we went to turn number 1, where Senao gets really spun out at the back. But a couple of drivers making good getaways here, including the likes of Tim State and Diego Villarreal. Villarreal muscles Tim State, who is VR shot, by the way. We saw just now how we had a bit of an action shot closing in on to make the point that Tim State had VR, but unfortunately, no amount of VR can actually stop Villarreal's charge through him, and he might have had the first-hand view of how that happened there. He looked on the side, got pushed out of the way. He is still in P3, but a lot of work to do to get by as through Aqua Minerali. Quite a few cars also went off there, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Like we said, as you just mentioned, another car going off. That looks like that was the number 15 of Martin Chico, and taking another person out. Oh no, we have Gaspar again right here. So very unlucky for him as well. Man, this one track, as we can see, just these drivers, super aggressive. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to go. As you can see right there, the first crash going into turn 1 in the bottom right-hand picture. We had a few people get caught up in that. And with tight tracks like this, when you have the grid so close together, one person up front gets to go out, and that is unfortunately what happens when everyone else gets taken out. But as we are nearing the end of lap 1, we have Villarreal able to hold on to that first place position, followed closely by Peter Zuba and Tim State.
Yep, and the biggest gainer after the kerfuffle at the start was actually Gaston Kohavi. He was on the gravel this time last lap. He was really shafted, but manages to get it back up into the top 10 as there goes Zuba, who was in the lead out wide, gives Villarreal the opportunity to get back up in front, and Tim State up to P2. Imagine that. The veteran iRacer, who definitely feels that he has the pace left in him to fight against some of these youngsters who are really at it at him, will be starting the new season in a new account in the top 3. That would be amazing to see, but he still has about 8 laps to go here as Jackson Resende now goes side by side coming out of Tosa.
Yes, and as you can see there too, coming out of that first lap, we did have Martin Chico Gaspar and also Dina Filippa ended up going to the pits, get some of that damage repair. So we'll have to see those guys, unfortunately that may be their first heat race, but luckily with that reverse grid, they'll be able to get back at it in heat number 2. But like we said, anything can happen. As we see now, it looks like Tim State going off the course, going a little bit wide there. So that leaves Villarreal in first, Zenje in second, and Peter Zuba in third place. But again, I expect this order to keep changing out the entire time, as we see right there, the Hyundai going into that second place and the Honda in first. So that's one thing with the amount of Audis we've seen out here. That just goes to show, hey, once people are getting this aggressive, being this much of a battle going on, we really don't know what can happen as much. So I love to see it. I love to see the aggressiveness. I love to see just the drive that these guys are putting out here. Great start to season 5.
Absolutely, and it's great to see that there's more eclectic mix of manufacturers up in front. You can see there Honda, Audi in third there, and in between is a Hyundai as we see what happened to Chico. Smacked into the barriers. It looks as though Harrison might have been the contributor to that one, and which in turn caused a bit of a domino effect, causing more cars to go off. So unfortunately, there's Chico, and I believe that might have been Pedro Dean going over to the grass to actually take avoiding action there. But regardless, up in front we got 2 of the hardest chargers in the entire series going at it here, Villarreal and Resende. Resende looking to rebound after what we can say was a slightly disappointing season 4 in the TCR class. Now he's going to have to he has the opportunity to open up the account with a win in season 5 on the opening day.
And like you're mentioning, right there are 2 veterans of AMX battling it out for that first place position. So we can see right here, just seeing the looks on the 2 drivers' face as Jackson Senja able to make that overtake, but Villarreal just right there diving in right behind him. So, again, these guys already seen what had happened in the middle of the pack and what happened towards the back of these guys, unfortunately, getting taken out. So I think right now they're playing it just a little bit more safe. They say, hey, we have a little bit of a gap for the podium potential winners, and all of these guys, as much as they want to leave everything out on the racetrack, there is that part in your back of your mind that's saying, you know what, let's just play it safe as much. Let's try to work together to get away from the rest of the pack. And then towards the end, of course, I expect us to see an amazing battle these last couple of laps. But right now, lap number 3 of 10, Jackson is NJ able to pull it off, get a few places up in the grid from where he was. So that about 3 positions, and I'm looking towards the middle of the field too. There's already Marcelo Reales up 7 positions, Kieran Harrison up 9 positions. So we'll see what happens or that unfolds over these next several laps.
Yeah, indeed. And talking about working together, it looks as though Resende has settled in a bit. So he's just letting the pace being dictated by him, but Villarreal also likewise just staying in the slipstream, and Zuba. The three of them now well ahead of Tobias Soriano, who's leading the next pack with Harrison and Valero behind. It's quite an unenviable task, not gonna lie. He has two of the hardest charges as well, right behind him, bearing on him. As we're talking about tight circuits, we can see Valero and Aguiar. I was about to make that point of tight circuits causes these kind of small collisions. We saw how Jerez, that in this case, last season, where the tight circuit becomes quite paramount, and it really does force the driver to make some desperate moves. We're seeing it here right now in the very first round of the entire season. It's the same case here, but it might just be possible to have a much cleaner move because you have some straights to just attenuate the corners.
And to add on to that, speaking about some of these collisions, we do have official racing stewards in here with us today. The KARA are our official racing stewards for AMX. So what we do have going on there, they're going to have to settle some of these things out. I'm sure that once we get the reports back, there may be a few penalties given out here. But we do see right there, battle for P4, as it looks like, a few people changing positions again. I was looking at the timing when they came across that last lap. Kieran Harrison so far has set the quickest lap, so he's up 9 positions already into 6th place. So let's see if Kieran Harrison, unfortunately those wrecks caused a big traffic jam earlier, so hopefully he may be able to get back up into podium contention. But right now still, we do see Jackson Asenje starting to build just a little bit of a gap from the last lap. So once he got into the lead, we'll see if it's going to be the classic case of getting that clean air and pulling away from the other couple of drivers. But right now, again, don't count Villarreal out or Peter Zuba, as they've shown that they have amazing pace around here today as well.
Absolutely. And it's a case of trying to stay closer to the guy in front. Just make sure he's not out of your sights. And the case of guys behind there, for example, like Valero, he's benefiting from staying behind another guy. Slipstream, gets the fastest lap of the race, snatches it away from Kieran Harrison. That's a couple of extra dollars on the line as well. That will really do good. And of course, points too. You do not want to start off on the new season on the back foot. Otherwise, it will be an uphill battle from here on out. Plenty of opportunities as well to make up for it. But a lot of people really, really want to start the season off well. Like for Asende, this would be vindication for him.
And now you can see there of the different sections. So yeah, it just shows, Jackson Asenja, I think he's finally found his groove right here. So we'll have to see how much of a gap will he be able to get. I feel like right now, as long as Jackson Asenja makes no mistakes for the rest of this heat number 1, that he pretty much has that first place locked down. And for everyone else that is tuning in to the live stream or watching it, you'll see periodically the QR code pop up on the screen. Feel free to scan it, follow along with the live timing, be able to see a lot more information that we have as well. Just like that too, of Gael Valero now setting the fastest lap, a 1:54.85. So I feel like now that there's a little bit more space going on between these drivers, we'll see that fastest lap set change possibly a few times throughout these next few laps. But right now we're about halfway through heat number 1. Jackson Asenje first place, Diego Villarreal in second, and Peter Zuba in third place. And there's still about a 2.5, almost 3 second gap between the podium leaders and fourth place.
Yeah, don't discount out how Valero with clear air right now will try to claw the advantage here, but he's got Harrison behind, his old rival that he can still spar with. And of course, these guys were involved in the Nürburgring 24 recently, which a certain Max Verstappen was involved and won as well, outright in the top splits. But they wouldn't mind too much about that. Here they are coming the way through, siving behind Tobias Soriano and overtaking him before coming through turn 1 is Kieran Harrison. Now Soriano there is on screen. That's now Valero, of course. I thought it was Valero for a second because it looks like Valero as well. But Soriano gets overtaken. Now Harrison can set his sights on Valero up in fourth place. Podium, still a possibility if something were to happen in the top 3, Kev.
Yeah, and right now, so like we know, Kieran Harrison is setting the fastest time in qualifying, looking to get up onto that podium contention. So right now, about half a second behind Gael Valero. So like we said too, of course, seeing last season and other series as well. If you watch these drivers, like you mentioned, the Nürburgring 24 happening, but a lot of other professional series as well going on that these drivers are very familiar. So a lot of these guys not only race each other in AMX, but they're racing each other in other series. A lot of team series going on. So we do have those team rivalries going on. Like I said, A lot of the ones that you will see here, mostly we have the between Drago Racing, Apex, Team Redline. So great team battles, great driver battles all season long. And like I will mention again, now this season with Season 5, the drivers are able to do both races in the same day. So we have a few people that may be looking to also go on to the second race later on today, and maybe a few people that have missed the TCR class, so that way they could focus on the next race. So we'll just have to wait and see for that, see who is going to be here all day long with us. But right now, back to here, lap number 6, Kieran Harrison starting to close that gap on Gael Valero.
Yep, and in turn, Valero is closing in on the back of Villarreal too. This gap was about 2 seconds. Now it's almost under a second as they come across the line. So I did say podium was a possibility, and there you go. The proof is in the pudding here. Valero with a guy that right behind him is setting the fastest lap. Both working together to just inch ever closer to the ultimate goal of at least challenging for the podium. The win may be a bit of a stretch, but podium is well and truly on here. Zuba, Villarreal, then Valero and Harrison and Soriano, for good measure, might just form a 5-car battle pack here, fighting for the early points of the season. You can see that in dollars as well. 10 points up for grabs in second place. That is so tantalizing right now.
And like you mentioned, a lot of these guys, that is one thing with as many AMX 5 class races that we have going on this season, that is a huge thing for points, not only just because of the payouts, but if we've seen last season, we had the overall winner being Gael Valero, who by quite a bit of a margin had so many more points than the other drivers. Well, one, that just showed just the amount of races that he came in here and did excellent in. So I know a lot of drivers are going to be doing that as well this time, considering they can race twice in a single day now. So again, those payouts can be pretty large. So for anyone out there watching that you're thinking, hey, I think I can race with these guys, I want to be able to, or even just to have fun and come out for the experience, head over to amxrace.com, get signed up, get on the schedule, and hopefully we'll be out here seeing you battling it out with all of these amazing drivers. But right now we do see the battle going on right now. 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions going. Oh, and Gael Valero overtake that. So right now, 3rd place. So right there, Gael Valero 3rd place, Kieran Harrison into 4th, and Villarreal has dropped all the way back down into 5th place. So some of the fastest drivers now, they only have about 3 more laps to be able to get their place settled on the podium. Who is it going to be battling it out as Hezenje is walking away with about a 2.5 second lead. So he's sitting comfortably up in that 1st place position.
Yeah, but he might not be looking so comfortable if he knows that Valero can get by Suba anytime soon. Villarreal, though, I think he might have gone a bit too narrow, because driving these TCR cars, and I've driven them in iRacing before, if you go narrow while you're braking, you're gonna lock up because you carry so much momentum. You go really try to aim the corner first, you're gonna go wide. It's so specific where you have to brake on time every time, and with no ABS, you lock up easily, you're gonna go up, and that's exactly what happened to Villarreal there, where he was trying to brake it, but unfortunately just overcooked it, as Zuba now might have cut the corner there, gets a penalty and drops the P4, Kevin. That really is a podium now, opening up big time to the top 3 between the Resende, Valero, and Harrison.
Yeah, of course, right now I expect this, again, like we said, the last couple of laps, I expected there to be a great battle going on. Right now, that battle is already starting to ensue as we see Kieran Harrison and Gael Valero. So I expect that those two to be battling out all the way out. So again, last season, one of the champions of Kieran Harrison, also Gael Valero, was a champion as well in one of the other categories. So the 2 champs of Season 4 battling it out back to back. We'll see, as there's less than half a second gap between them, so they're looking to be right on their bumper. And of course, with some of these longer straightaways out here at Imola, that means that there is such a potential for draft, and we can see great moves for overtaking as these drivers have settled in. Absolutely great. So I expect this battle to carry on into heat number 2. Like you said, once we get that reverse grid, expect some of these guys that have been battling it out to claw their way up to the top to be doing that again for heat number 2, as we are now going into lap number 9. Jackson Senjay still leading it, followed by Gael Valero in 2nd and Kieran Harrison closely behind in 3rd place.
Oh, this is what Rishande would have wanted it, because Valero and Harrison are now starting to fight. And the more they fight, the more that Resende can at least put a bit of a buffer between himself and these two. So he'll be banking on Harrison to continue hounding the back of Valero. Harrison no doubt wants to actually get up further. That is his nature. He wants to actually win on over and everybody. Likewise, Valero wants to do the same. But at this point in time, because Harrison has the draft here, he might just try to sneak into Valero's inside or outside, whichever works for him, to get it up to P2. But for the time being at least, he's still stuck behind there and losing a bit of ground to the Frenchman. Now that the Frenchman actually has a bit of pace here, 2.6 seconds the gap. May not be enough to catch in the next lap, but at least a slight glimmer of hope to catch up to the Brazilian.
And if there's anything like last season, what we've seen from these drivers is once they hit that last lap, they put everything out on the line. So let's see if Kieran Harrison, he's going to make some aggressive moves coming into the final lap, which we're almost all the way through of lap number 9. So now that they're coming into this last little S turn right here. So like we said, these guys currently, Kieran Harrison still with the fastest lap of heat number 1.
He went a bit wide there. Sorry, Kevin, but you can see that Harrison actually went wide coming out of Variante Alta. He may have cut the chicane, and that's why he lost momentum, because he had to brake to get rid of the penalty. He's fallen into the clutches of Peter Zuba, Soriano, and Reales as well, for good measure. That podium position that looked comfortable for a second now becomes a scrap for the podium here, Kevin.
And just like that, anything can happen. The littlest mistake, even from the most veteran drivers, left the door wide open for Peter Zuba to go into that 3rd place. So that's leaving Jackson Asenge and Gael Valero comfortably a couple of seconds ahead of the rest of the drivers. So now what was a battle for 2nd place is turned into a battle for 3rd place. And I'm glad you got that, because just as soon as I had looked away for a split second, look at the timing. We had such an unexpected, uncharacteristic error from Kieran Harrison, but he's looking to get that position back as he goes on the outside. Will he have enough grip to do it? And it looks, he is able to take back that 3rd place position from Peter Zuba. So an excellent move right there to be able to get back in. So that is showing you why he was your season 4 champion for this class. Excellent performance out here today by Kieran Harrison.
Indeed, he was the AMX 10 TCR champion, or the front wheel drive categories we had that time. But you can see the qualities coming through there, why he is the best driver in this category. Though such an unfortunate error, what could have been a battle for 2nd with Valero, it would have been a grandstand finish there. Instead ended up becoming a scrap for P3, which he did not want. But at least he has averted that scenario by going back up to P3 with a brilliant maneuver coming through Villeneuve and up to Tosa. Now he can just make a beeline for it all the way to the line, just leaving the guys in 4th and below to just fight it out.
And one thing from the top 3 drivers in this heat number 1 that we've seen all last season and even the season before it is that these guys are a master class when it comes to defending. So as much as we would have loved to see a 3-way battle going up on here, now we're almost all the way through as Jackson Asenge is coming around the last couple of corners, as well as we have this battle now going on for 5th place. We had the joke last year, last season, there's always a battle going on for 5th place here in AMX for some reason. But again, right here will be Soriano looking to make it up on Peter Zuba as the checkered flags comes out for Jackson Asenge coming in 1st place, followed by Gael Valero in 2nd and Kieran Harrison in 3rd. Big congratulations to all of those guys. But now in heat number 2, they'll have to fight their way back through the pack all the way to get back up another podium. So amazing driving. We had a few incidents early on, but overall, these guys putting on a great show out here in heat number 1. Amir, what can we expect from heat number 2?
Well, more of the same basically, because again, there's a reason why the TCR cars just provide some of the best action throughout the entire field. We got some of the master class guys in the TCR category racing here. No doubt the quality of the field does go up. But then you get some of those guys who are not probably as fast as them, holding on for dear life to get some of those good results. Really, those are the ones that show why this class of car really provides a good racing. Anybody can actually come here and just go full ham, get the best result, or they can just defend like hell to hold on to those positions. So again, waiting to see what's going to happen in heat number 2, probably more the same.
And that's one thing I love to see with some of these cars that have a little bit less horsepower. There is so many great battles that we've seen time and time again. As you can see there, your BenQ session winner, Jackson Asenje, first place, followed by Gael Valero in second, Kieran Harrison in third, fourth place, Peter Zuba, fifth, Tobias Soriano, sixth place, Marcelo Reales, seventh, Diego Villarreal, eighth place, Gaston Culavi, ninth, Alberto Sanao, 10th place, Pedro Dean, 11th, Tim State, 12th, Martin Chico, 13th, Caio Gaspar, 14th place, Evandro Dantas, 15th, Santiago Aguiar.
And last place, Dino Filippo, but
Lap of heat
Filippo
number
will
1.
be so disappointed. Yeah, Filippo will be so disappointed to be outside of the points, and in this particular case, not going to be starting on pole because top 15 gets reversed in this one. Now he has to do it all again right at the back here, Kevin.
Yeah, so unfortunate, like we've seen Dino Filippo not having the best race today, but hey, heat number 2, it's a clean slate. He's back there with some of the fastest drivers, so maybe all of them will work together, get to the front as we go green. And right now we've seen, right away, going 3 wide in the middle of the pack, but we have Dantas fighting for a drag race against Aguiar to get that first place going into turn number 1. Who's going to be able to get it? It does look like Aguiar going to the inside, but nope, doesn't have enough momentum. Dantas able to hold on to it. So the first few drivers battling it out as we see great overhead shot right there of the middle of the pack as well. Some of those faster drivers rearing it up from the rear, coming in fast. So right now it's almost a train going into the next couple of turns as we kept Dantas still defending so far, as we see here Gaspar as well in that Honda. So great battles going on already. Aguiar able to take over into first place, but Dantas is right there side by side, door to door, but these tires are cold, so unfortunately not enough grip to hold that outside line.
Yeah, much better start compared to what we saw in heat number 1. So impressively, normally heat number 2 will be the one that we see the most chaos breaking out, but everyone keeping their powder dry here for now to really just make out the positions, jostling it as fast as possible before settling into the groove of the race. But some of those other guys are not hanging about. Case in point, Kieran Harrison, look at that, he's made it up to P7 already after starting well behind in or about P11 right around there, or in fact it was P13. Now he's up to P7, so he made up 6 positions at the start. Looks so he's not going to hang back anytime soon. He's going to make up more positions as the race progresses.
And speaking of drivers making up positions, it does look like Dino Filippo able to get out of last place all the way up 5 positions into 11th right now. So we'll see if he can keep up that momentum and have a shot at a podium. Like we said, we're not even halfway through lap number 1, and so far it's been a good race. As we see Kieran Harrison getting another position, going up into 6th place now over Gaston Culavi. So Gaston Culavi, you know that he's going to be pushing a little bit hard to try to get that position back, but we still have, coming into the end of lap number 1, Aguiar able to hold on to that first place position, followed by Gaspar and then Martin Chico in 3rd place. So right now it does look like we get onto this next stretch right after the first lap, going into lap number 2. Who's going to be able to hold on to the brakes a little bit more? Tires are getting warmed up, so now I expect the battles to be a lot closer than lap number 1.
Indeed, but for guys like Aguiar, he'll be hoping that with a slight gap at the front, the guys behind will be starting to battle, and we saw how Resende will manage to make the Audi work for a change. Up in front, as a couple of comments coming in, is the Audi Hyundai better than the Audis? 50-50, I would say, because we're not sure if there has been a BOP change, but at least because he had a clear getaway at the front, Resende managed to win that one. Now it's a completely different spin in the game here with the Audis out in full force. We're watching the battle with the two Hondas though, Gaspar and Sanao. Sanao, one of those new drivers we saw just coming in today to try his luck in AMX. He didn't really have the most promising of first races, but he's looking really good here in heat number 2, up on the cusp of a podium as Chico runs wide, coming right from Minerali, goes off.
Yeah, unfortunate mistake right there that we see Chico now falling down in positions, which leaves room open. Right now, Gaspar in 2nd and Sanao into 3rd place. So we're getting a little bit more battles as Aguiar able to get a 1.5 second gap between him and 2nd place. So those guys battling it out behind him leaves room for Aguiar to just start pulling away. And like we said, we've seen that last heat number 1 with this NJ, that the guys battling it out right behind him gave him plenty of opportunity to start walking away. So we'll see, as long as Aguiar, if he is able to keep it up and let the guys behind him battle it out, we'll have to see if he might just walk away with first place here in this heat number 2. As we can see, some of the sectors right there, so now getting a little bit better through sector number 1. I think Gaspar And we have a few of those. Aguiar, sector 5, setting the best lap, and it just disappeared. So right now, Aguiar with the fastest lap so far as we enter into lap number 3, starting to walk away a little bit more, a little bit bigger gap. And we have great battle going on between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place.
Yeah, Aguiar being dealt a hand the same way like how Resende did in that first heat, where the guys behind started battling and he's making a beeline for it. So maybe hoping that they'll battle even harder here so that he could get an opportunity to build on that advantage. As meanwhile, this is Gaspar Senao and Pedro Dean, one of the 2 Dean brothers. Remember the last time we had cameras on both of them? They were actually identical twins, so it was a bit difficult to spot them from afar. But at least in their cars, they have somewhat different liveries to actually ID both of them. But behind Dean here is Harrison, as the 2 Hondas now fight for position coming up to Piratella. Harrison is lurking behind by about 2 tenths here. Podium again on the cusp.
Yeah, and there too, we've seen great battles going on last season, especially towards the second half of the season. Pedro Dean really showing that he is a great up-and-coming driver. So, like we say, in AMX, we love seeing it because we have older drivers, we have younger drivers, and don't let age fool you at all for any reason. We have some of these younger drivers doing well, some of these older drivers. Age is not a factor when it comes to sim racing. What matters is how much time and effort you put into the sim, and it is showing right now for Pedro Dean as he is holding on to that 4th place. But right behind him, we have Kieran Harrison, so he's feeling the pressure from Harrison. As we can see, these guys almost bumper to bumper the entire time. Harrison able to go around the outside, overtaking Pedro Dean right there coming out of the corner. So right there, Harrison now looking for a shot at podium contention once again.
Yeah, Dean, I think, might have cut a corner somewhere, maybe through the Variante Alta once again, which is the same corner that caught Harrison last time out. He had to back it off, and he loses a huge amount of time and position. Somehow still manages to keep it within that top 10, but really, he did not want that, especially at this point in the race, where the battle from 2nd all the way up to P10 even is just heating up, and it's very close here. As we're on board now with Harrison, hounding the back of Senao, with Gaspar behind him, looking behind to Senao. Really great shots. Again, a testament to our production crew behind the scenes to get the really, as I would call it, the money shots. Really sells the point of why the racing is very close here.
And seeing it looks like Harrison does have a little bit more pace than the drivers right in front of him, as he's able to get right now into 3rd place, overtaking Senao. So again, just these veterans showing why they are some of the best sim racers, not only in AMX, but some of the best sim racers in iRacing in general. As we see Kieran Harrison now into podium contention, but he's looking to get that bumper of Gaspar. So we'll see. Gaspar going to have to defend for his life right now to hold off Harrison. Oh, as Gaspar able to overtake. Oh no, what happened there to Aguiar? Aguiar slipping down into 3rd place from 1st to 3rd, just like that. I'm not sure if he might have gotten a slow down or just might have made a bit of an error. We might have to see that later on, but that leaves Gaspar wide open to go into 1st place, and Kieran Harrison following suit going into 2nd place. So now it is a battle once again for 1st place, as we see the times these guys bumper to bumper all the way through like the top 5 positions. It's going to be a great battle as we're not even halfway through heat number 2.
Yep, we're going to go across the line now to reach the halfway point, but Harrison though, this is what he wanted. The driver in front making a mistake in front of the driver he's chasing. As we see, that's what happened to Aguiar. He got it all wrong coming through Aqua Minerali, and that 3-second advantage that he had at one point evaporates in an instant, despite being front wheel drive here, and saves it. Lost a lot of time. As around the outside goes Harrison, taking the leeway from Gaspar, and there we go. Kieran Harrison back to where he feels he rightfully belongs, up in front, and ready to just open up the account for this season with a win.
And looking back at that replay there, I will give style points to Aguiar, as oh no, as we see right now, we have Gaspar getting spun out, going back. It looked like there was a little bit of contact, and that sends him all the way back, as now he has to wait for the other drivers to go by. So unfortunate right there for Gaspar, doing so well, but all it takes is one little mistake of these drivers, as we've seen, and unfortunately now puts him back to the back of the pack. So up in the front though, however, we do still have a great battle going on, as Kulabi right into the rear bumper of Senao. So it looks like Kulabi may have just a little bit more pace. He's looking to get on the podium and overtake Senao, as Soriano also closely behind him as well. So right now Kieran Harrison able to establish about a 1 second gap over Aguiar. Aguiar able to stay in that second place position over Sanao. But like we said, there's only about 0.3 of a second behind those next few drivers. So we're going to see if they can switch it up, especially once they get into this next straightaway right here. That's a great place for overtaking.
Again, you gotta have to get your braking point right for this one, because if you were to go very narrow, you might miss it, and you will end up taking not only yourself out, but the guy behind you or the guy that you're trying to overtake out as well. As you can see what happened to Gaspar. Oh, that is just a shame, isn't it? This is Aguiar, who we saw just now. We were sympathizing for him going off white, coming through after Minardi, but this time, however, he has become the pantomime in this instance and sending at Gaspar crushingly to P15, and just 1 point out of all of this, as Resende takes avoiding action to go onto the gravel trap. That's actually quite smart, because at least he could avoid the wreck here, but he does, however, have to consider after that to slow the car a bit and just get the penalty out of the way. But, well, unfortunately, your heart goes out to Gaspar. That's how it happens in racing when close quarters comeback goes wrong.
And as we go into lap number 6, I just seen Kieran Harrison with all of that fresh air right up in front of him. He was able to set another fastest lap time of 154.783. So right now, it's looking like we've seen plenty of times before of some of these drivers. Once they get that fresh air, get a little bit of gap between them. Second place, not really able to get into the slipstream of Harrison right now. So we'll see if he can start pulling away. As second place, there's also going to be a battle going for that as well. So second, third, fourth, fifth place, all battling it out as we're about halfway through our lap number 6 of lap 10. But right now, Kulavi doing a great job defending from Soriano.
Indeed, and Kulavi, who we saw just now at the start of the first heat, the very opening race of the entire season, being shafted out wide, going to the gravel trap, manages to get his way up back into the top 10. Now he's on the cusp of a podium here. That'll be a good return for him and a great way to start of the season. Though, again, it's going to be hard to find a way through Imola, because overtaking can be at a premium. Yes, we saw how overtaking is possible around here, but you really have to get your elbows out to get the move done. And for Harvey, he has to bank on this top speed of the Audi to get by the Honda in front of him.
And like you mentioned, with these drivers' elbows out, we've seen that in just a recap from heat number 1. There was a lot of that going along, a lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of door banging, people spinning out, going onto the gravel. So even though heat 2 has been a little bit more tame, as we can see right now on board, Gael Valero looking to make the move as he does over Martin Chico, getting into that 7th place position. But back to what we were saying, these cars, especially with not the cars that don't have crazy amounts of horsepower or crazy amounts of downforce, there's a lot more that you kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive. That's just the nature of the race to be able to overtake that. I know a lot of these, the TCR cars, not quite as fast as some of the GT4 cars, but I've been racing a lot of the GT4 lately in iRacing, and those, the same sort of formula going on, that they don't have quite as much downforce or quite as much power as a lot of other vehicles that are very popular. So you really have to be aggressive and not be afraid to put your nose in place that it might belong. You know, again, being careful, because we do see a lot of these drivers get a little bit too aggressive, and unfortunately someone comes out of that into the wall, into the gravel, like we had just seen a little while ago. But right now, still, these drivers, again, lap 7 of 10, so the pressure's starting to roll out onto them. Will they have to turn it up just a little bit, get a bit more aggressive, get those points? As we can see, so now being just a little bit slower than Kulavi and Soriano. So Kulavi and Soriano may be working together right now to bump up a couple of positions, but a lot of mirror driving as well to make sure that, hey, don't make any mistakes. Don't let the guy behind you give him the opportunity to pass.
And given the fact that behind Kulavi is 2 fellow Argentines, it does make the job a bit easier. Though, having said that, sometimes being part of the same country does have its detriment too. You want to be the best driver in that country, especially when you have a podium on the line or a race win. So niceties can be a little bit scarce when you're battling against your fellow countrymen. But in this particular case, at least, Kulhavi, being the faster of the Argentines, has the top speed to get by Aguiar here on the outside. Does he make it stick? No, he goes wide. And so does Sanao behind him too. that might just incur the wrath of the in-game stewards. They have to slow the car after this. Aguiar lives to fight another lap here, and the beneficiary of that is he manages to eke out a bit of advantage, and the bigger beneficiaries behind him, Felipe and Soriano, get free positions as Valero now gets in on the action.
Yeah, like you said right there, they were going a little bit too fast and unfortunately cut the corners, had to give up a bit of that time. But now we can see great battle going on as Gael Valero now able to make some moves to catch up. A little bit of door bang, a little bit of rubbing, but that is expected in these cars. So right now we have all three Audis right in the middle of the pack battling it out. So another great battle I expect right here. Let's see if Gael Valero is able to make a move on Kulavi. This is going to be a great battle going on right here as we see Kulavi doing an amazing job at keeping Gael Valero staying behind his bumper, not giving him that opportunity to get around him. So, of course, right here, but again, right, looking to make the move, passing on the outside. We have Gael Valero able to make that overtake on that long straightaway. Dips right back in. Textbook passing right there.
Yeah, they helped the fact that Kulavi got a very poor exit out of Aqua Minerali, which allowed Valero, who might have taken a more sharper line coming out of the exit of Aqua Minerali, to just zoom by Kulavi and get by him to take the position. But Valero then has a bit more work to do as, oh, there's a bit of a collision for P3.
Right there, unfortunately, Aguiar getting spun out. So again, I'm sure we'll see a replay of that one as we see a bumper flying across it. Oh no, ouch. Felipe going into the wall right before the pits. Looks like that might have caused a bit of chaos for all the drivers behind, and now shuffling up the entire order. We see people going up, people going down. We're going to have to get a replay of that going on later, but that leaves room for Gael Valero to go all the way down. 7th place, 6th place now. He is in 2nd place contention, still about 6.5 seconds behind the leader. But now it is Gael Valero and Sanao battling it out for 2nd position. So with that unfortunate incident going on there, that left the door wide open for some of these drivers to make it through. We're going to have to see the chaos that ensued after that. And again, Pedro Dean right here battling it off with Peter Zuba. So tons of great battles still going on. Man, I know I say that I sound like a broken record by now, but I just, it's hard to get away from here. We have so many amazing drivers. So we're going to go into a full screen replay real quick just to see exactly what happened with our drivers.
And no doubt the center of that attention has to be Dino Felipe, who was right behind what happened to Aguiar. There he is. But in front of him, that was Gaspar, I think, just hitting the back. And look at that. What triggered was this Constantino effect. Yes, he was actually trying. No, except for Sanao. Sanao actually hit the back of Aguiar. Aguiar gets turned around, Felipe is into him, and then Soriano, the innocent bystander, in that he tried to come through, thread the needle, but unfortunately the wall was there for him, and as a result, he was also the victim in that particular accident. 2 drivers involved. This is a replay of Valero now. In fact, I think we're back into live action of the guys up in front. Valero up to P2, overtaking Senna, who caused that particular accident that time around.
And as we see, as lap number 8 is coming to a close, Kieran Harrison still able to hold now about a 6.5 lead over Gael Valero. Gael Valero also able to get a little bit of a gap between them. So we see the first 4 drivers with a little bit of a gap starting to happen between them as we are in the final lap. White flag is flying. Harrison looking like, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, he will be walking away with another win today. And we can see he's shuffling up in the order right there through the middle of the pack as well. But Kieran Harrison looking calm and collected. He knows he has this thing in the bag. He just has to drive his race. And again, one of the best sim racers, of course, AMX Season 4 TCR four-wheel drive champion, showing why he is the champ once again, Season 5. So I expect this all season long to see him out here. But once again, Season 5, we're changing it up a little bit. We're having a lot of AMX 5 instead of AMX 10, and the introduction of AMX 20 coming in as well. So that too, as long as these drivers keep joining, we are going to see some of the best racing. I expect even more amazing racing than we've seen last year. And I know that's a tall order, but I know with the drivers we have and even some of the newcomers coming on, as we see a battle for P8 down there in the bottom right as well. Does look like that is Peter Zuba, Pedro Dean battling it out as well. So great heat number 1, great heat number 2, as Kieran Harrison is almost your heat number 2 winner as long as he can keep it on the track.
Yep. I hope that the racing here in both heats have whet the appetites of more of drivers and spectators alike for what's to come here, as Harrison negotiates through Revata 1, Revata 2, on the way to a stunning victory. No doubt he is the driver of this round, and he will walk away a happy chappy.
Oh, no doubt, as Kieran Harrison coming across the finish line. Big congratulations. First place, Kieran Harrison, as Gael Valero coming in about 6.5 seconds behind him. Now coming in second place, as well as Senau coming into third place. So great driving from those guys. Unfortunate accidents a couple laps back that led to Gael Valero able to slip by, as well as Senau. So what looked like we had a pretty good 1, 2, 3 got changed up with just that one incident right before we went into lap number 9. So very hard racing, very hard day for some of these guys. Some of these guys are cheering it on, while others, I'm sure, are fuming right now. And a few innocent bystanders like we've seen. But like they say, that is racing. Anything can happen, especially out here. AMX Season 5. Great start to the Season 5. Great start, great race 1. Again, we have 2 races today, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere, as we see here your BenQ session winner again. Coming in, we have Kieran Harrison, first place. Second place, Gael Valero. Third, Alberto Senau. Fourth place, Martin Chico. Fourth, Marcelo Reales. Sixth, Gaston Kulavi. Coming in seventh, we got Jackson SNJ. Peter Zuba coming in eighth. Pedro Dean, ninth place. In 10th, we have Santiago Aguiar. 11th, Diego Villarreal. 12th, Caio Gaspar. 13th, Evandro Dantas. 14th, Tim State. 15th, Tobias Soriano. And unfortunately, coming in 16th place, Dino Filippo, which he got caught up in that unfortunate wreck. So not a great day for Dino Filippo. Hopefully we see him coming into race 2. Man, hopefully, like we said, just a unfortunate race for some of these drivers. Great race for others. But overall, great for the fans. Entertaining race 1. Great opener to season number 5. Amir, what was your highlight of today's race number 1?
Well, that's quite a tough one, isn't it? Because there were so many incidents and accidents happening between. But I think the pick of the bunch has to be Kieran Harrison's consistency coming through to the fore again. You can see why he was the AMX 10 FWD champion last season. He managed to make it work in qualifying by, despite starting in 15th, to go challenge up to the podium and manage to get 2 podiums, including 1 win here, and pole position. So starting off the season on the right foot. He is already well on his way to becoming yet another challenger here once again. In terms of moment of the race, well, has to be that battle for P2 and 3 in heat number 2. It went all the way to the final few corners, but unfortunately, an incident just wiped out most of the contenders, and you got the feel for the likes of Dino Filippo finishing, or rather not finishing in the race. He's classified 16 both times, so that's going to be a gut punch. He will no doubt be motivated to improve on that in the next race. But other than that, it's the same old standard fare in TCR. Wheel banging action all the way.
Like we've seen, top qualifying did a great heat number 1, heat number 2, Kieran Harrison. Of course, we did have quite a few incidences during this race number 1. So again, the racing stewards will continue to look at some of those, see if any penalties may have to be dished out, or if there are any, post-race time added onto some of these drivers. But nonetheless, great battles as we're heading on pretty soon out here. Make sure to stay tuned for our race 2 of the day, where we're going to be in the Porsche Cup cars, the 992 Porsche 911s, a fan favorite. I know plenty of people. These are one of the most popular racing series in iRacing. So now that we're going to be bringing it over to AMX, let's see if last year's champion is able to show up for the rear-wheel drive category, being Aaron Vasquez, also a fan favorite and one of the Team Drago racing drivers. But also, I know with these cars as well, we had the Porsche Esports Cup Championship. We had a couple of Team Redline drivers too. So we'll have to wait and stay tuned for race number 2 of AMX Season 5. Off to a great start. But with that, we bid you adieu, and we will be back very shortly. Race number 2 coming up here soon.
to save our home. We must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Another beautiful day as we get ready for race number 2 of AMX Season 5. Getting a wonderful area shot out here in Monterey County, California. The WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. A fan favorite out here, especially with a fan favorite car of the Porsche Cup cars. I am Kevin, and joining me here is Amir as well. It is going to be another beautiful race. I have a great feeling about this car and track combination today. Amir, great race number 1 for today. I've seen already a few drivers coming in here qualifying that were in race number 1. What are you hoping to get out of race number 2 today?
Well, more of the same in terms of how close it was for the battle for the overall positions in first and on the rest of the rostrum. But secondly, let's hope that it will be a much cleaner affair, because as much as we want to have everyone falling into some corners side by side, we want to get them through safely so that we could still enjoy the battles that go to it to the end. But again, it's all up to the drivers here, Kevin, and I can't wait to see how this car and track combo will line up, because Laguna Seca, it's such a famous track. It proves that Americans can turn right as much as they turn left, as what they, some stereotypes have you believe.
Absolutely, and of course that too, Laguna Seca being one of the most famous racetracks in the world. But for those of you just joining the stream, we are on our official launch day, Season 5 of the AMX World Championship, and it's been great so far. I expect this to be one of the best seasons, if not the best season we have so far. And if you can see on the screen, make sure to follow all of our social medias for updates, for highlights, clips of our races, as well as going over to amxrace.com to get the full schedule. But before we jump into today's race, we have a few different changes for Season 5. So let's get into a bit of housekeeping for this season. So as we can see, now Season 5 AMX Sim Racing World Championship. We are starting today, May 25th, and we're going all the way through August 18th with a season prize pool of $15,000 and, of course, next level racing gear. So we have, again, this year, yes, most races in your varieties car track combos. So we have great combos, great cars. The race format is as follows. We have a 20-minute qualifying, followed by a top 15 reverse grid, a heat 1 of 20 minutes, followed by a second reverse grid for the top 15, and the heat number 2 of 20 minutes once again. So similar to last year's format in regards to how the races are going to be playing out there. Driver cams are required, so all of the drivers currently out there and those of you who wish to get in here and race against everyone else, you have to have your driver cam. So feel free to join the link to our Discord or get some more information on our website. Payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out each month. So once your balance hits that $100 threshold, expect to get a nice check in the mail, a nice deposit to your PayPal, whatever you have set up. Race days, Saturday and Sunday. So one change for Season 5 compared to last season is we are now just racing on Saturdays and Sundays. But we do have a similar schedule with a couple of new classes. So AMX 5 every Saturday and Sunday, 5:50 p.m. and 7:20 p.m. But this season, we are going to have every other week. We're going to be switching it up with our AMX 0 class and AMX 20. So every other week, expect all AMX 5 races, and on the odd weeks, expect AMX 0 followed by AMX 20, a brand new series that a lot of people are excited to be joining on. So our prize pool is as follows. Qualifying, you do get prize pools for qualifying as well as points towards your championship. First place $15, second place $10, third place $9, and so on and so forth, all the way down to 15th place. Then once we get into that top 15 reverse grid, going into heat number 1, we do have similar 15, 10, 9, and then going down all the way into 15th place for heat 1 and 2 with the fastest lap set, getting a couple extra dollars with a total prize per race of $250. And once again, for these AMX 5 races, you must have a minimum I rating of 2000. So if you want to join, please keep that in mind. But once again, we're going to go over with our current promotion. So right now, save 30% if you do want to join in on here. Get a season pass AMX5 iRacing, AMX5 Assetto Corsa Competizione, backed by popular demand, and the all-new AMX 20 race. So head on over to the website, get you a season pass to save a little bit of money on that. And now we're going to head over into today's track and car combination. It's going to be a lovely one, Amir.
Absolutely. But first up, it will be the track, and we saw just now from the onboard and overhead shots, it is none other than the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, as you mentioned before. Opened in 1957, but it just had a few changes in between that period up to this point. Most of the track did stay the same, but it was having the addition of the first sector that just carves around what used to be just a fast king coming up to what we're going to call the Ray Hall Straight. 3.6 kilometers. This is literally one of the best road courses in the United States, and home to multiple racing series, the likes of IndyCar, IMSA, and of course the GT World Challenge Americas that also race here. I can't think of a better place to race. It's called a dry lake bed, but there's nothing dry about this circuit. It is always bustling with action, and thrills and spills aplenty here. Complement the circuit, of course, we have the cars that we're going to be using, or in this case, a series of cars. The Porsche Super Cup cars that we are racing here today is the Porsche 992, the most recent iteration of the highly successful single make series that has been racing around the world since the 70s, but the Porsche Super Cup came around 1993. 510 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, 1.26 tons, and crucially for the drivers, a flappy pedal gearbox as said on Top Gear before, sequential, so you don't have to take your hands off the wheel. It's all about the driver's control here in regards on how they're going to negotiate around the track. But Porsche have actually deliberately made this car difficult, of course, with no ABS, no traction control. It is the intention to find the next generation of Porsche factory drivers courtesy of this car, and of course the track itself is going to be very challenging for them.
Thanks, Amir. And we're about to head into qualifying and see where our drivers currently are. Like we said, one thing that we are switching it up compared to Season 4. Now in Season 5, drivers can compete in 2 races per day. So previously, they'd only be able to compete in 1 race per day. We got rid of that, and now we have a lot of these drivers being able to come in here both races per day. And I can already see, just looking at some of the timing, we do have a few people that were in here last race earlier this morning. This morning in the US, earlier in the evening in other parts of the world. But one of those in particular was Dino Filippa. Unfortunately, just getting caught up in some incidents, had a very unlucky race number 1 this morning. So hopefully he'll be able to come out here and have a clean slate, be able to get out here, set a few lap times. Right now, he is sitting currently in that 2nd place position, but not by much. So right here, we can see on board, we have Dino Filippa. Oh, he is definitely focused. You see the look on his face. He wants to forget everything that happened during race number 1 earlier today and wants to show in here, you know what? The standings don't tell the whole story. He was doing amazing, especially that last heat 2 of race number 1. Doing super, super well, and then got caught up in an unfortunate accident that put him all the way back into the pits, having to repair some of that damage. So Dino Filippa looking to overtake Juan Blenat as we are nearly halfway through this qualifying session of race number 2.
Yep. And talking about Dino Filippa, of course, qualifying definitely will be the one to make up for the disappointment. He qualified P3 behind Gal Valero and Kieran Harrison, so no doubt he has no slouch in those cars. Just that luck just deserted him in that first race for the AMX 5 series. Now in race number 2, will he be able to make up for it? Well, for the time being at least, only just 800s behind. Juan Blenat will definitely be looking up to storm through the timing sheet out of the final corner onto the start finish straight. Would this be pole position for Filippa? Cross 9 he goes. And it is pole position by a 10. So he's making up for the disappointment already here, Kevin.
Yeah, and we love to see that. We love to see whenever drivers are able to shake off an incident and come back even stronger. So right now, Dino Filippa being in that lead spot. But we have another driver that was in race number 1, Jackson Azenje, who is currently sitting in 17th. So looks like he hasn't been able to set down the best lap time yet. I know this is a very tricky course on some of the sections. And that too, just getting a little bit of an off track here and there, trying to settle in. Of course, that too, even whenever you got used to a whole new car, getting used to a whole new track within the matter of a few minutes. So this will really go and show just the amount of skill that these drivers will have to be able to get on a new car, new track, and be able to adapt. So right now, looks like, we had Victor Miranda able to best that top spot with a 124.15. So it looks like the lead, especially, we're only halfway through here, folks. So I expect that lead to change at least a few more times before we get through qualifying. So Victor Miranda, first place right now, followed shortly by Dino Filippa and Jackson Asenje, able to get up into third place. So lap times are getting faster. Track is also possibly getting a little bit warmer than we were earlier. So we will have to see, as we do have an 18-car grid so far. Some of these drivers, let's see if they'll be able to set some faster laps.
Yeah, talking about the weather, I saw in the timing screen that it is harsh and cloudy, but by the looks of it out on track, it looks like a typical California day, isn't it? Very big amounts of sunshine out on track that really illuminates the racing surface. So we get to see these cars and the liveries that the drivers come with in full glory. Though some of these drivers will be wishing the track to be colder because the times will be faster. But either way, never mind about that. We see Juan playing out across the line. It looks as though he might be good enough for pole. No, P3, but he did set the fastest final sector there. So clearly he has some pace in him, but he is waiting to unlock that as he comes across the Andretti hairpin for the third time here. Third place, he's still just a couple of tenths off from pole as we're looking at the drivers. Ralph Benitez across the line.
Yeah, Noors mentioned earlier the temperature. So right now, looks like the temperature is set at about 25.5 degrees Celsius, which is about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So absolutely beautiful day, but the track temp right now, 56 degrees Celsius, which is roughly a little more over 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So track is warming up pretty quick. We'll see how that plays into this with the tire wear coming into here. So, expect the first few laps to be a little bit faster, maybe tire degradation towards the end of the race. But like we said here, we're doing some sprint races, and of course the top 15 grid, that has a lot, top 15 reverse grid, has a lot to play into here, how these drivers go back and forth throughout the grid. So right now, still Victor Miranda, a 124.15. So he is a little bit higher right now than Dino Filippa, which Dino Filippa is also getting an outlap. But we're still on board. Out about 7th place currently, Ralph Benitez with a 124.5, and now Francesco Biasiotto with a 125. So there's a lot of drivers that are hanging around the mid 124s, low 125s. So I know, like I said, this track, it is a love-hate relationship. I love this track, but also I hate it at certain points just because of a few of those corners. If you're not careful, you are going into that dirt super easy.
Yep, or in some cases, if you get it completely wrong, you might just end up on the other side of the circuit. So I think a lot of drivers will know who I'm referring to when someone ended on the other side. That's the late Gonzalo Rodriguez, who unfortunately had the throttle stuck wide open, hit the barriers at the top of the corkscrew, flew on the other side, fatally injuring him immediately. But apart from that, it's just this amount of sand everywhere is enough to get you stuck, enough to get you a cropper if you get it completely wrong. So for a lot of these drivers, you might want to find the outer extremities of the circuit to find time, but at the same time, the grab on the outside is enough to just capture you and just ruin your lap immediately. So there's a bit of a tippy toe type of driving that you need to do. You need to be on the limit, but at the same time, not too over the limit.
As we can see right here, the onboard cam going into that corkscrew. So the famous or infamous, depending on how you want to view it, corkscrew of Laguna Seca. Obviously, the staple of this track is what really makes it one of the most well-known tracks in the world. Right up there with the corkscrew at Mount Panorama in Bathurst. A lot of people I always see comparing these two tracks to say, which one might be more difficult, at least from racing in them in iRacing. I mean, it's really, I feel like it's really up to driver preference. I'd say having a corkscrew in any racetrack, you have to be really, really careful. Make sure not only to hit that braking point right as it crests on the top of the hill, but to make sure that you don't either overshoot it to the outside or you don't cut to the outside. And at least here, compared to Mount Panorama, when you're out at Bathurst racing the mountain, you don't really have much of a runoff. You are going into the wall. So at least here we have some dirt on either side of the track to run into. But right now we are on board with Verone, which has the Lightning McQueen livery on the Porsche. Of course, it doesn't have the creepy mouth. I don't know what it is about some of these liveries. When you see people running the Lightning McQueen, they have to include the mouth. I don't know, it just looks a little uncanny sometimes. But Verone right now sitting in the 5th place position, so he's doing pretty well out here in his Lightning McQueen Porsche Cup car as he comes down into the corkscrew. Great line right there as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of fitting marriage, isn't it, that the car itself, Lightning McQueen, is somewhat involved with a Porsche, aka Miss Sally, so it's kind of like amalgamation here, or rather dream come true for Lightning that he became a Porsche. But enough of that small little detail of cars lore. Verone, the current LMGTE AM champion from last season in the FI World Endurance Championship, one of those real-world drivers that we're talking about. He's quite handy in iRacing. Coming across the line, 24.3, P4 right now for the Argentine, who really is looking to dabble in not only just in iRacing, but also going into the real world in European Le Mans Series and trying to defend a win for the Fricadelli Racing Team in Nürburgring 24. So he is quite busy in Sim and IRL.
And that's one thing that I love to see, especially here in AMX. That has been our experience over the last few seasons of just having these real-life drivers being able to hop in here in the sim. And it just goes to show, one, I feel like the intensity of the competition just gets heated up just a little bit more when some of these sim racers know that they're going up against real-world drivers. Of course, a lot of sim racers hoping to get their recognition in sim racing with the hopes of making it one day possibly into a real life situation. And of course, we've seen that plenty of times before. Of course, also another driver who isn't with us today, we've seen that with Gustavo Ariel as well, who he had come into AMX as a newcomer, shown how absolutely amazing he was in the sim, and also got recruited by Team Redline and is racing in real life. So there's a few other racing series out there. It seems like more and more popular since the Gran Turismo movie that a lot of people are really pushing sim racing, trying to make it onto a real life racing team as well.
Yep. As a couple of comments are coming through, including the usual suspects, the likes of Just Keith, Driver Cam, Site 815, and at the start, just now listening. Hi to all of you. Hopefully you've been enjoying the racing so far. Driver Cam's asking, is this GT3? Yes, it is, but it's not part of the multi-class, multi-manufactured GT3 as you know it. This is the single-make Porsche Super Cup car or rather Porsche Carrera Cup cars as well around the world that we see being raced here. So it is its own, but you can call it a GT3 Cup. It's somewhere between GT3 and GT4, if that answers your question, of course, Driver Cams.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I'd say one of the biggest differences between these and the regular GT3 cars is that lack of driver aids. So if you see some of these people that they may be spinning out on a few of these corners, just know that they have a little bit of less electronic aid than some of the GT cars, which are heavily relied on. So, of course, just a little bit slower possibly than the normal Porsche GT3, but nonetheless, it just shows that, hey, these Cup cars, they have to be driven very precisely. There's a lot less room for error going in and coming out of some of these corners than the regular GT3 car.
Yep, but truth be told, they're actually faster on the straight because they are slightly more powerful than the GT3 counterparts, but it's just a bit more unstable and it's much stiffer. So, for example, you get the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, that's faster than normal Huracan, but through the corners is really a white knuckle ride, so you do not want to throw those cars too much into there, otherwise you end up chucking into the sand. As we're looking at Ralph Benitez, and they say Rafa Benitez, that's a football manager. He really was pushing the outer extremities of the circuit, coming up to Ray Hall straight, but unfortunately had to abandon that lap and end of his qualifying.
And just like that, the 20-minute qualifying for race number 2 comes to an end. So some of these drivers now giving a little bit of a preview what to expect going into heat number 1. So right here, looks like the fastest time was still be able to held by Victor Miranda. So your BenQ session winner, Victor Miranda, with a 123.95, absolutely blazing it through this track today. Second place, we got Dino Filippa, Jackson Asenje in third, Juan Blenat, fourth place, Nicolas Varone in fifth, Gael Valero, sixth place, Ralph Benitez in seventh, Bruno De Carmo, eighth place, Tobias Soriano in ninth, Francesco Viasiotto in 10th place, Martin Chico 11th, Pedro Dean 12th, Marcelo Reales 13th place, Gaston Culavi 14th, Artin Rootman 15th place, Diego Villarreal 16th, 17th place, Evandro Dantas, and rounding it out in 18th place, we have Tim State. So a great lineup out here today. Of course, getting that top 15 reverse grid. So those last three drivers, unfortunately, will still be at the back of the pack, having to battle their way through. But that leaves room for, looks like, Artin Rootman to be on pole position as we are waiting seconds away from the green flag.
Yeah, Artin Reutemann with arguably one of the coolest names in the entire field, I'm gonna lie. Named after one F1 World Champion, while the other one a close Vice World Champion, Artin Reutemann. So shout out to his folks for giving him such a cool name. But let's see if we can hold it up in front here.
We just hear the roar of those flat sixes as the drivers getting ready to focus on them, see who has the best reaction time, be able to send it up the hill back down into Andretti hairpin. And here we go as we're going green. We already have a couple right in the middle of the field getting a little bit better to start. Martin Chico Viasiotto out ahead in the middle of the pack, gaining a couple positions already. But right now it is Rootman, which is your leader, still getting a very good start. So we're going through you wide into the Andretti hairpin. Looking like we're going to be a little bit of a door banging here, but they're able to set it into 2x2 coming out of that as we head into the turn number 2 and 3. Great start from these drivers, of course. Cold tires, anything can happen, so being very, very cautious, but at the same time, we'll see those that are able to be a bit more aggressive and keep it under control will get a little bit more ahead as we go right here up the uphill section.
Yeah, Viasiotto there being overtaken by Soriano, so the Costa Rican under pressure from his fellow South Americans, and the young kid there on screen, we saw just now him for a second, finding that the tough is getting going here with such veteran drivers who have been in this series for quite a few seasons, as we have a driver behind. It's Blenheim, one of the contenders, is already out of it here, Kevin.
That's always unfortunate to see whenever we have those first lap incidents of people falling back down too. It looks like Blenheim, Gael Valero fell down 6 places as well. Tim State up 5 places. So there's a lot of shuffling going around right now as we are getting ready to head into, oh no, we have someone going off into the dirt. It looks like that'd be Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean, unfortunately, going a little bit too hot into the corner, not having enough grip and coming on the outside. But now, Bruno De Carmo currently up 5 places into that 3rd place position. We'll see if he's able to hold that. Ooh, a little bit of contact going on right there as well. So these drivers are already just getting a little bit aggressive again with that top 15 reverse grid. We have some of the faster drivers having to battle their way through the pack, just having to be a little bit aggressive, putting their nose in anywhere that they can.
Yep, and you can see that the RD bar, the elbows are already out. It's almost like touring car racing, but with much more consequences, as you can see. Being consequences what happened to Blenheim, it looks as though it's Valero who's actually the one that tapped him into a pit maneuver, and mercifully, he got it off the walls, but unfortunately for him, his tires are well and truly shot. Now he has to make it up here for the next 12 laps. But amazingly though, there's a big victim out of all of that. It's Nicolas Varone. He's in the pits right now, so he's been involved in the wars in the opening lap as well.
Right now, it looks like Artin Rootman is so far setting the fastest lap, but again, that just comes with having that top spot, having the fresh air to be able to go in. Clean air always leads to some amazing lap times when you're not having to worry too much about the person right behind you. But right there, we see Bruno De Carmo and Jackson Asenje running the twin liveries right there. So the teammates can, oh, and another off course right there. Looks like that, looks like Villarreal may have gone, oh, I'll have to look at
Chico. It's Chico's gone off. And in front of him just now was Viasiotto as well. So the young Costa Rican who was battling it up in that top 10 went off wide, and somebody behind him, that was Chico, got tapped into a spin here, is what happened to Verone. Oh, it's Benitez. Benitez tapped Lightning McQueen around, and Verone, though, out into the KT litter and out of this first heat. Though, unfortunately, probably he forgot a memo that he has to be in 15th to start in pole position in that second race. So, the second heat for him, he's going to have to start all the way in P18. He has it all to do here coming in the next heat.
Yeah, so that too, I mean, we'll just see if Verone, you know, if he's just thinking, all right, well, hey, this may be heat number 1 in the bags for him. But again, see if he has the pace to come out heat number 2, swinging and making up those places like you mentioned. But right now, we're seeing battle Bruno De Carmo and Soriano closely behind him. So right here, as we start seeing tires warmed up a little bit, we're almost all the way through lap number 3. Some of these drivers are starting to settle in just a little bit, get their groove. So one thing that right now also helps out is some of these guys out here driving that are teammates. Anytime you got a teammate out here, you just feel a little bit more comfortable. You know, you always want to work together to help make sure you're not fighting, make sure both of you can benefit out of it. But when push comes to shove, at the end of the day, they may very well both be trying to get that top spot. So we'll have to see right here with the 2 Brazilian teammates going on. Are they going to be able to help each other, or will something happen during the race that they get into a battle themselves? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but you can see that Benitez is in front of Miranda, so Miranda now has to play second fiddle here to his teammates. We see what happened to Chico then is because of Miranda, or a bit of a gutsy dive, but unfortunately the way that he entered was way too late, and that sent Chico into a half spin onto the gravel trap. Luckily he managed to get it going again, but it's also a testament to the fact that these cars have that what they call a sledgehammer effect, because it's towards the rear, while the older 911s, it has that sledgehammer effect. The car really oversteers. It is a mid-engine layout nowadays, still is enough to actually get the car spin around completely, but if you're on the brakes just in time, it helps you prevent that spin, and that's exactly what Chico has done. Gets it going again, but unfortunately he is only in P13 for the time being.
So right now it looks like we are on the rear bumper of Reutemann, who is now having to defend very harshly against Kulavi. So Kulavi and Reutemann have been in the same 1-2 position all race, but right now it looks like things are about to get heat up a little bit as Kulavi ever so creeping in, just looking to make his move. So again, with Kulavi, he's looking for that top spot right there, but also knowing that he has Jackson Asenge right on his rear end, and coming up behind them too as well, Bruno De Carmo. So right now, lap 5 of 14, going into heat number 1 out here at Laguna Seca WeatherTech Raceway. As we see now, back a little bit further towards the middle of the pack, Benitez, Gael Valero also looking to go, as Gael Valero looking to make a move right now, going to the outside. Will he have enough grip? Nope, he slots right back in. He may have a little bit better coming out of that. Ooh, a little bit of touching right there. Their guys are getting really close, door to door as we're going up. Let's see who is going to make it into the corkscrew first. Is they going to go back side by side, as Gael Valero able to come out in front of that race right there. So that battle going on, Gael Valero, nope, they're going to play it safe. Oh, and it looks like a little bit of blinking in and out right there as well. So that's going to make these other drivers behind a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, Valero's been having a bit of internet trouble since the first race just now in the TCR car, so they gotta be extra careful not to end up inside him, otherwise they'll desync and probably cause a major accident. And likewise, Valero as well, he probably needs to give a couple of extra feet notice to prevent an accident like that happening. So watch that space. Let's see if Benitez and Dean can actually guide their way around the Frenchman that's up in front. This is a real good battle going on right now. Reutemann, Ruhavi, Resende, De Carmo, and Soriano, top 5 within earshot of each other. Reutemann has been holding the lead since the start of the race, but he's been under severe pressure from his fellow countrymen behind within just a second of it.
So right here now, as we're seeing these drivers right before they're getting up into Real Straight, like you mentioned, man, this is an amazing battle going on for the top 5 drivers. So I expect, again, with that combination of having some teammates in the midst of this, what that is going to do to play a role in here. But mentioning out here at Laguna Seca, I believe a couple weeks ago too, we had the IMSA series coming out here in real life. So one thing that has been on a lot of people's mind, especially racing and iRacing, we have some people that they race iRacing and they race Assetto Corsa Competizione, is the different scan of the tracks. So I know in real life, also several months back, they got a new resurfacing out at Laguna Seca. So in iRacing, this is a little bit older version of the track compared to what is currently in Assetto Corsa Competizione and also in real life. So I know hopefully iRacing is able to update that. It seems that once they did the resurfacing also in real life, that was able to get a lot of these cars about a couple seconds faster on average over their laps throughout the IMSA series specifically. So I'd love to see if that translates over to iRacing as well whenever they get a new scan of Laguna Seca.
And to relate to your point there, the fastest lap IRL in race trim was a 123. So you're right about that being a second faster. We had a 124 just now, courtesy of Victor Miranda. Okay, actually, in fact, he managed to sneak into 123s, a 23.9 towards the end of qualifying. So it's matching the real life time, but I think with the resurfacing version of the track, it might be faster. As we see Marcelo Reales has actually taken a bit of a spin coming out the Rahal straight. So it shows that at least the grips still paramount on the circuit, but it's also because of the fact that the cars are quite a handful to drive anyway.
Yeah, and that too, like we see, unfortunately, a little bit of spin way back there in the background, so we might have to get a bit of a replay on that just to see exactly what happened to cause that spin. But I'm reading the chat right now too. I've seen some of the people, which one would they like to have? Porsche, IRL? Same here, man. I agree 100%. I'd love to have me 911, a 992, especially. Like, I just love the new cars, but then again, I would settle for any Porsche. Hey, if it was given to me, any Porsche I would love to have. But back to the race, as we are on board right now, looking at Bruno De Carmo battling it out with Toby Soriano. So again, the lead still has not changed between position 1 and position 2. So Reutemann doing an excellent job being able to battle off Kulavi, and also Kulavi the same right now, as Senjay has gotten up 10 places now, sitting in that third place position, but he is looking to overtake Kulavi as he is ever so inching towards the rear of Kulavi's bumper as we're going back up into the rail straight. So right here again, I'm just glad that we haven't had any major incidents coming down the corkscrew. Like I said, that is one of those you have to be extremely careful, especially once we get to close racing just like this. Make sure not to tap anyone. Make sure not to fight anyone going down that corkscrew. That is one of the worst places that you would possibly want to go. Just having that blind crest. If someone gets into an accident, spins out, gets onto the track, that can cause an easy pileup. We've seen it all the time. And also right here coming into this last 90-degree bend, a lot of overtaking opportunities, but them getting too close. Hazenje able to get into second place, as well as Bruno De Carmo up in that third place spot. So unfortunately, Kulavi down 2 positions from coming into lap number 9.
Yep. You see Vicente there fist bumping because he knew that he got Kulavi right where he wanted him and just trying to inch away now, but he has a fellow Tony Kanaan driver behind him. That's Bruno De Carmo. So 2 Brazilians being sandwiched by the 2 Argentines here. So that's a familiar story as all as time, isn't it? In racing and in real life football, where Argentina and Brazil go at it in trying to be the best of the South American teams here. But going back to that point of coming out to the corkscrew, there is a saying that I think it was by Kevin Schwantz. He says that when you see God, you brake. So in this case, you see another guy up in front, probably braking a bit early. You try not to rear-end him, but it's impossible, isn't it? Some drivers want to take advantage of that. And speaking of taking advantage, Soriano makes do with taking a position away from Kohlhavi after going off a bit wide there.
So just like that, we see Kulavi down 3 positions from his start. And that battle, it looks like, may have gave Reutemann just a little bit of breathing room, but now that Jackson Asenje has a little bit more room, he's not battling out anyone. He has his teammates behind him as well. So Reutemann might be in trouble now, as we do have the 2 Brazilian drivers right behind him, right on the tail. So we'll see, with about 5 laps left to go in this, if Asenje and Bruno De Carmo are going to be able to overtake that top spot. And again, we'll see they don't want to battle each other out too much, but it looks like right now Essendrey trying to go for the outside. Let's see if he can get a little bit right on the rear bumper, tapping Reutemann just a little bit. So unfortunately, that'll slow him down. He won't have the pace to be able to get out of that corner a little bit faster. So good move. That could have ended up very badly for the both of them making that contact, but fortunately they are both professional drivers. They are both able to really handle these cars to the max, right on the limit. So right now, Essendrey, he knows, all right, I have a few laps to make something happen if I want to come home with a victory today, as he is right on that rear bumper. So great car control from both of these drivers.
As you can see, Resende actually wiping a little bit of dirt off the windscreen because there's a lot of dust around here, of course, because around us it's just purely sand. But make no mistake, Resende has the bit between his teeth as Reutemann goes off. He nearly gets into the back of him there, does Resende, but he comes through and takes the lead away. So a slight lock up there, Reutemann just buckled under pressure, and that allows Resende and the Karma to come through.
And that too, like I said, that one mistake. Now Soriano also able to take advantage of that, heading up into third place. We'll see Reutemann locks up again, so just that little bit of pressure that just shows got a little bit in his head with Jackson Essendrey coming up right behind him, and just having that little bit of pressure was just enough to force these little bits of mistakes going on right there. So unfortunate for Reutemann, was in first place nearly the entire race and now dropping back down into fourth position, but that leaves room. Right now, like you said, the two Brazilians of Jackson Essendrey, Bruno De Carmo, 1-2 with them. They will try to pull away from the rest of the pack, work together a little bit, as they already have a little over a second gap between them and third place of Soriano. So Reutemann has his work cut out for him to try and get any of those positions back. Well, right now trying to hold off Victor Miranda. So we may see if Victor Miranda keeps up this pace over these next few laps. Let's see if he can make up enough room to have the Brazilian 1-2-3.
Yeah, Miranda, of course, trying to complete not only a Brazil 1-2-3, but Tony Kanaan 1-2-3. First auto business, trying to get by Ayrton Reutemann. There's Miranda on the inside coming up the corkscrew, and we did say earlier, seat guard and brake, but in this case, he was a bit circumspect and brakes slightly earlier so that he could avoid rear-ending Reutemann, but Reutemann fights it hard, coming through rainy curve, but it's not enough to prevent Miranda coming through. Miranda's now out to fourth. Now he's going to set his sights on third.
And just like that, with Victor Miranda heading into the fourth place, and like you said, he's already up 11 positions from where he was earlier. But like we've seen in qualifying, he has amazing pace over a lot of these drivers. So with only a few laps left to go, he's going to have to push it to the absolute limit to be able to catch Soriano and get on the podium. But right now, dropping it back a little bit, we are looking at Gaston Coulavi, who, like we've seen earlier, unfortunately has dropped 4 positions, as well as Reutemann. So they had a little bit of a battle going on for first place earlier. So now Coulavi and Reutemann may have a battle for that 5th place position. But don't be fooled, because Gael Valero is also closing in very quickly on Coulavi. So Gael Valero been sitting kind of right there in the middle of the pack so far. He's up 3 positions right now to 7th. But we also know from last season and previous that Gael Valero is also another one of these drivers that does have immense pace as well. So we will see where a lot of these guys in the middle of the pack, some of the best racing in my opinion happens right here in 5th place. So Coulavi, Reutemann, Valero. This is going to probably be the battle to see from here on out for heat number 1.
Certainly. And it's not over yet, not by a long shot here. P5 may, in fact P4 might be all that is up for these guys, but make no mistake, extra money on the line is the big motivator as Miranda comes to the pits though. So it's not going to be a Brazilian 1-2-3 after all. Miranda has gotten a drive-through penalty here for potentially cutting a corner, or it was given to him, whatever it is. There goes his opportunity for getting a podium in the first heat here, Kevin.
Yeah, and unfortunately doing so well, climbing his positions up 1 car at a time and ending up in the pits towards the end of the race. We hate to see that, but, you know, again, we'll have to check in later with him just to see exactly what caused that penalty. If it was a penalty, most likely. So, again, we'll have to see what happened there. But right now, that leaves room. Gael Valero able to overtake Gaston Coulavi. So the Frenchman able to gain 1 more position, now up 5 into 5th place. But right there behind him, we also have Benitez doing amazing with the pass also over Kulavi. So it will slot in right behind as we see Gael Valero. He has only about a lap and a half if he wants to get on podium, but there is quite a bit of gap between him and Reutemann. So that may possibly not be happening unless the top 3 drivers start making mistakes or start battling it out. But again, great battle right here between Kulavi. Unfortunately, he was doing so well through the race until it's just those little bitty opportunities and that pressure from the drivers behind him, dropping down about 5 positions. But luckily, he will have heat number 2. He'll be sitting roughly in the middle of the pack where he is right now if he keeps this position. So once again, that reverse grid, we'll see what that can do going into heat number 2 as the white flag flies here for heat number 1, race 2, AMX 5.
Yep, and taking that white flag is Jackson Resende. Now, here's the best part for the Brazilian. He won Heat 1 in race number 1, the very first race of the entire season just now in the TCR cars. Resende now is on his way to getting a second consecutive Heat 1 win, so he really is balling right now. Not sure what happened during the offseason, but he definitely is finding form again in the best way possible here, Kevin.
And that's one of the things that we love seeing, especially last season with Jackson SNJ, is if you want to see one of the best defenders in the game, take a look at Jackson SNJ. Once he is able to get in front, it is very hard for others to get by him. He has to make a pretty big mistake, or you have to use the chrome horn on him. You have to get a little bit into the bumper of him or door bang to be able to pass that guy. So immense pace, immense defending, as he is looking quite confident right now as we're going into the final turn. The 2 Brazilians of Jackson SNJ and Bruno De Carmo looking for first place and second place as they come into the final home stretch. Big congratulations, Jackson SNJ, as you can see the smile on his face coming through. And we have a little bit of a door-to-door drag race right there. Looks like Reutemann will come out in front of Gael Valero as well, though. So Reutemann going in the 4th place. Gael Valero able to climb his way up into 5th place. Great heat number 1 as we have the final few drivers coming across the finish line. Unfortunately, Verone is still in the pits and will not be crossing the finish line for heat number 1.
Wow, Reutemann there with a finish akin to Ayrton Senna's one against Nigel Mansell in 1986 at Jerez. He had to close the door on Valero, but keep it clean so that he doesn't avoid clattering into him. But literally living up to that first name, Ayrton with a good defensive job there against Gael Valero to salvage what could have been a podium, but at least it's a top 5 finish in 4th place. As we see Evandro Dantas, the last of the runners here to come across the line to finish what has been a slow burning Heat 1, but still an exciting finish nonetheless.
Absolutely. So now we'll check in to see overall heat number 1. Of course, Jackson SNJ doing great in race 1 and now doing great in race 2. Again, BenQ session winner, Jackson SNJ. And in 2nd place, Bruno De Carmo. Tobias Soriano coming in 3rd. Great driving by all of the podium finishers. Ayrton Reutemann 4th place. Gael Valero in 5th. Ralph Benitez in 6th place. Gaston Kulavi in 7th. Pedro Dean in 8th. Dino Felipas 9th place. Juan Blanat 10th. Francesco Giaciotto in 11th place. Marcelo Reales 12th. Victor Miranda 13th place. Diego Villarreal in 14th. Tim State 15th. 16th place. Martin Chico 17th. Evandro Dantas. And in 18th, unfortunately, Nicolas Verone, who was in the pits, but the fastest lap set by Dino Filipa. So although he finished in the middle of the pack, he still was able to get the fastest lap. But with that top 15 reverse grid now for heat number 2, looks like that'll be putting Tim State up in pole position. But let's see what Tim State can do as we are getting ready to go green out here for the Tech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and we're off.
And that's a good start there from State, but Miranda gets an even better one. Nearly got up to the back of him coming to turn number 1. Who's going to get the whole shot here? It looks as though it might be State, who's on pole position again for the 2nd straight race. He was on pole previously as well because of the reverse grid, but he gets through it as we have a couple of drivers behind. Reutemann's involved and Verone as well. Verone gets sent out. Resende, race 1 winner, is in the gravel trap, and Villarreal unfortunately as well involved in the water there, Kevin. But apart from that, the guys up in front have had a clear getaway.
And it's always unfortunate to see that when you have that first lap incidents like that right at the very beginning of the race. Some of these drivers, that just sets the tone for some of the race. But we can see the picture-in-picture. It looks like right there going 4 wide, something I thought I wouldn't see at this track. And unfortunately, that just causes an incident. One of the drivers to slow down, and they're so grouped up that they just start ramming right into each other. So a few different drivers getting into that. And as we see, a little bit of smoke right at the top of the corkscrew. So luckily that didn't go. As we see Tim State, unfortunately, also off into the gravel out of there. So that puts him down to the middle of the pack from that pole position, which leaves room right now. Victor Miranda, who's doing very, very good last race until he had to go into the pits. And no, another person off the track. That looks like that'll be Pedro Dean having to go out wide into that. So Pedro Dean now dropping 7th, unfortunately, going off to the gravel. So a lot of people locking up here in heat number 1 while they're still waiting for those heat to get into those tires.
And Martin Chico was the one that got shafted the most here. He's right up to the back. Villarreal's in the pits and he's out of here. But I'm not sure if that was Resendio or Reutemann slinging in through the final corner, sliding all 4 wheels, but it's not going to do that car any good. Regardless of that, though, up in front, Victor Miranda, after getting a drive-through towards the end of the race, is making do with his escape, about a second ahead of Juan Blanat.
Right now we can see a picture-in-picture in the bottom right of Dean and Reales. So right there you see a little bit of contact, which causes Pedro Dean to go wide into the gravel, and unfortunately losing a few places right there. So once again, I do not envy the job of the racing stewards out here, having to review all of these incidences and see if there's any penalties awarded to some of these drivers. So hard racing will always lead to incidences like this. We see right there, looks like a couple people may have just cut that corner on that. So we'll see if anyone gets slowed down to that. As we see right now, Tim State sitting in 12th place, Reales 10th, Verone 11th place. So Verone, although that he was caught up in that incident early on in lap number 1, is able to make up quite a bit of room and get back up. So he's up 7, now 8 positions into 10th place. So Pedro Dean and Verone going back and forth there.
No, it's Verone and Reales actually have come across it. Yeah, and Verone once again involved in a collision, which may not have been his doing, sent to the back end. He's into the pits again. So a terrible run for Nicolas Verone. He'll rather put that into the bin.
And now we can see as you're looking at the timing on screen, so a lot of the drivers all the way through the top 9 have started making up ground from where they were just 2 laps ago, with Victor Miranda with almost a 1-second lead over Juan Blanat. So right now we are seeing Victor Miranda first place, Juan Blanat second, and Dino Filippa in 3rd place. So top few drivers starting to get just the slightest bit of a gap between them, but right now we are following Gael Valero, who's looking to chase down Gaston Coulavi. So we've seen this last race, Gaston Coulavi and Gael Valero battling it out all the way through the last few laps. So we're going to see that again as Gael Valero now sitting in 5th position, Gaston Coulavi sitting back in 6th position. So Gael Valero, he found his pace towards the end of last race, and now he's looking to get back on the podium, already up 6 positions, holding steady in that 5th position. But don't put out these drivers behind them, as now Benitez very, very close to the back end of Gaston Coulavi as well. So these drivers so far turning it up a little bit more from heat number 1 now into heat number 2 as we enter lap number 4.
Yep, still plenty more to race to go. I thought it has been a bit incident pack, and it's going to happen even more there. Benitez once again knocks out a driver. This time it's Gaston Coulavi, and he cuts across the track in front of Pedro Dean to avoid getting hit. But really, that was a little bit clumsy from Benitez to cause that one. We look at what happened to Verone and Reales. This time it's actually Verone who actually instigated the accident, sends Reales into the gravel trap, and Verone spins out of probably sheer sympathy. But Verone's out of the race completely. Benitez still in the race, but just caused a couple of incidents there.
That too, just unfortunately right now, looks like Verone is not having the best of luck out here today. You know, like we said, these cars require the most amount of precision. So especially that too earlier on in the race, these drivers still getting off. So whenever you go from heat number 1 into heat number 2, you're used to those tires at full temperature, just being a little bit shorter format races here, they don't quite have as much time for the tires to be really wearing off a bunch. So they go from maximum grip nearly to almost no grip at all, going back in heat 1 to heat 2. But right now, looks like we do have a very good battle coming on our hands between Juan Belena and Victor Miranda. So less than half a second between them. But also now we see in the picture-picture replay down in the bottom left, it does the again of Benitez just getting into the back of Kulavi, and unfortunately that put Kulavi down a couple of places. So you hate to see that, but you know, when these drivers are doing everything they can, especially this early on in the season, it tells us, hey, we're going to have a great season here out of season 5.
Or we come out with guns blazing and try to actually mow everybody out of the way. But normally that's not the intention. Sometimes it's just a sheer clumsy maneuver. You just got a little bit overcommitted, and sometimes too much commitment causes the accident. As we can see, Valero, speaking of commitment, comes from the inside of Biasiotto and just lets him through. So he didn't want much of a fight. He just wants to carry on with his race and finish in that crucial top 5 to get a lot of the points here on the start of the season. But because of letting one guy through, he's got immediately another guy right behind him over like a rash, and the Carmo is no slouch either.
So seen right there, yeah, Biasiotto, he may have just lifted just slightly, gone off his line a little bit to let Valero through, but right now it does look like it's going to be Gael Valero. Biasiotto now also up to 5th place. But back to our battle for first place. Victor Miranda trying to fight off Juan Blenat. Juan Blenat now back about 3 to 4 tenths off the pace. Well, not off the pace, 3 to 4 tenths behind Victor Miranda. So right now we're still less than halfway through this heat number 2 race. We are in lap number 6 of 14. And right here, this is going to be an absolute great battle. Like we mentioned earlier, always seeing the battle between these Brazilian and Argentinian drivers. You know it's going to be a great race. So right now, Juan Blenat looking to overtake Victor Miranda. But Victor Miranda showed in qualifying that he is one of the best drivers in this track and car combination. As well, right now, we have a battle also going on for P5 between Biasiotto and Bruno De Carmo. So De Carmo looking to overtake that, as we see Biasiotto going just a little bit wide in a touch of the gravel. So 2 battles going on right now. Amazing 2 battles between the Argentinians and, 1 battle from Argentinian and Brazil. The other battle going on, also another Brazilian. So I guess, that's what you expect when you have this many South Americans going in here, just showing how absolutely dominant they are out here today in iRacing.
And how committed they are, because it really does show that there's a thriving racing scene in a lot of these countries. With the exception of Costa Rica, I'm not sure how involved they are in motorsports, but regardless, nice to see that there's actually a representation from that country here today, as Biasiotto doing a stellar job in keeping Bruno De Carmo behind for how long. That really is close between the Costa Rican and Brazilian. Up in front, Blenat, he had a bit of a half look with Miranda as well. We were thinking maybe Miranda had the pace to just streak out in front, but no, Blenat is more or less equal to him. And the times are proving that. That last lap, both of them were walking almost the exact same time, but Blenat was 3 tenths faster.
So right now, like you said, that 3 tenths faster, we'll see as it plays out. So now we are officially about halfway through heat number 2. Juan Blenat been holding roughly that about 3 tenths of a second behind Victor Miranda these last several laps. But I think the big thing right here is both of them know, okay, our biggest thing is we don't want to battle that out too much, because then right now you see Dino Filippa catching up to that 2nd place position. So what was just a 2-car battle is now very soon going to be a 3-way battle between them and Dino Filippa as well. As we can see, trying to get him coming around to that final corner. We'll see who is going to get the better X. They're all very, very similar right there. But again, Victor Miranda knows he's going to have to defend very hard against Juan Blenat. Now Juan Blenat will be put in the sandwich of the other 2 cars.
Yeah, but Brazilian in front with 2 Argentines behind. Blenat might rely on Filippa for a bit of help here, but they're no teammates, of course. If push comes to shove, and if it comes to the punch after that, it will just be every man for himself. For the time being, though, they might have to work together here to just get by Victor Miranda. As someone in the comments asked, what game is this? Well, it's easily one of the best ones out there. Is iRacing with laser scan tracks, the best cars in the entire, but some of the best cars in the biz, of course, being shown here, like the Porsche 992, and of course the GTPs, aka LMDH cars that were on the service just recently. We can get all sorts of cars here, but the one we're looking at right now is the Porsche 992 Ron Laguna Seca, and it's provided some really good racing here so far.
And that too, today we are out here with the Porsche Cup cars. So also the Porsche Cup series is one of the most popular sim racing series and real life racing series. But speaking about at this racetrack, a couple of weeks ago, I seen with the IMSA, they had the Lamborghini Super Trofeos as well. So I would be excited to see if those end up making their way over to iRacing at some point. As you can see now, Dino Filippo looks like he has the sun blaring in through the window out there on his face. Hopefully he can keep his concentration now. So not only does Dino Filippo have to battle these other drivers, now he's having to battle the beautiful sunny day that he has out there where he's at. So hopefully it's not too distracting. This will really just go to show, hey, just like real life, you know, sometimes you have that sun blaring right in your eyes, you just gotta power through it.
Yep, that's what we call immersion, right? He has the sun in game, which is quite blaring as well. We're actually at 25.5 degrees and 57 degrees track temperature. So the sun just adds a little bit more realism to that. Oh, in fact, it might just be a bit distracting because look, he's trying to look for a bit of shade here, trying to just not get distracted by that, or maybe just looking into the corner, eyes looking on the apex. But regardless, this is probably the money shot of the day. Two sides of Dino Filippo that we have not seen, the bright side and the dark side. But so far, at least he's been on the bright side.
And that too, we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, the top three leaders right now, they have about a 4.5 second back between them and fourth place. So Gael Valero about 4.5 seconds behind Dino Filippo. And see just another little quick blink right there. So right now, going into lap number 10 of 14. No, sorry, lap number 9 of 14. We have just a few laps left going on here. So finish lap number 9, going to lap number 10. The top 3 drivers. I see someone in chat right now saying Dino is cursed today. Yeah, it's been an interesting day for Dino Filippo. Like you've seen in race number 1, a couple incidences that he was doing pretty well. Unfortunately, was a victim of a couple unfortunate incidents there. And now he's having to not only battle out his fellow drivers, but battle the sun itself. So we'll see if he's able to pull this off. That just goes to show, hey man, this dude has one of the best concentration in sim racing. But right now, Victor Miranda and closely behind it, Juan Blanat, Dino Filippo, your top 3 drivers here. Heat number 2, AMX Season 5.
Yeah, hell yeah, that he has some of the best concentration ever, because it looks like he's not fazed by it. But you saw a moment where that facade kind of broke a bit when he was raising his hands, talking to somebody off screen. Might be a family member. Maybe they could ask to just put the sun away, but unfortunately, it looks as though the sun is there to stay. We might be interested to hear his words of what's happened throughout his entire day here. But for now, well, it's not a flashbang, because if it's a flashbang, it's quite a flash that lasts for a few fractions of a second. This one looks more like a bit of a nuclear bomb that just went off, and it's still shining in.
Yeah, so right there, of course, all jokes aside, though, you know, it is really great to see these top 3 right here. So 3-way battle going on right now. Again, almost the entire race. These drivers, of course, between Victor Miranda and Juan Blanat especially, being able to hold on to such a consistent pace, and they are really neck and neck with each other right now. Looking at the time again, Juan Blanat still able to hold on to the best time, which is almost 3/10 faster than Victor Miranda. So that just goes to show even though, hey, you may be saying the fastest time, a lot of racecraft comes into play right here, because Juan Blanat being a little bit faster, unable to get past Victor Miranda currently. So maybe he is also, you know, saving it up. Hey, we're going to wait till the last couple laps to really push it with everything he has. We had seen there, Dino Filippo, when he was coming up the hill, just got a little bit loose. So now Filippo about 1 second back from the top 2 leaders. So he may be out of this race, not out of the race entirely, but out of contention for that second position as long as these two front runners keep this up. So it looks like they're not battling each other too hard. We'll see if they save it for the final lap.
Yep. That's the first, isn't it? Not many people can say that, well, could have won the race, but unfortunately the real life sun got in the way. So Dino Filippo at least has a slight excuse if he did not come away with a win here. But again, he's not out of it just yet. He's still about 7 tenths behind Juan Blanat and Victor Miranda. So he still has every opportunity here to just sneak in the win if these two were to come a couple right in front of him.
As we see here, so we are in lap number 12 out of 14 laps here in heat number 2. Victor Miranda, Juan Blanat are all the rage. They are the talk of the town for heat number 2. But also I do see, looking at the timing, does look like a battle for 5th place is going on as well as a battle for 8th place. So still got those other battles going on back there a little bit too. So right now, you know, these drivers, they are settling in. You kind of get into that groove. So once you have this place, especially Juan Blanat has to know right now that he has the faster pace, either just looking at the timing or if he has one of his teammates or has a spotter letting him know that, hey, you do have the fastest lap. Some of the sector timing going up too, he has a little bit faster through these sectors as well. So overall, we will really see what they have as they come into the last couple of laps here. Victor Miranda, Juan Blanat, but Dino Filippo able to get that gap down just a little bit. So he was over a second about a lap ago. Now just over half a second, so 6 tenths behind Juan Blanat. So Dino Filippo absolutely pushing it. You know, he is glad to be in podium contention, but he wants that second place position, potentially first. He's going to let these two out in front of him battle it out and try to take advantage of any mistakes that they may make.
Yeah, he's letting them slug it out. Just watch brief on this. That's actually a very smart thing to do because you'll wait until something happens to the two in front, then you'll strike. Because there's no point making a three-way battle, otherwise you'll compromise all 3 years. So Filippo's doing the right thing, just hanging back. Blanat though looks really hungry for the win here, and Miranda has been hanging back somewhat, not really pushing it till the end here, but maybe his tires are running a bit short. So again, can't really call this between Miranda, Blanat, and Filippo.
So that too, looking at the sectors, so it looks like Sector 1 and Sector 3 right there. Juan Blanat does have a little bit of pace over Victor Miranda, and even Dino Filippo putting down an excellent Sector 3 right there too. So these guys, like I said, they're just inching ever so close. Dino Filippo, as we get the Sector 4 timing coming in, 1300ths over Victor Miranda, and Juan Blanat is about almost he's about 45 thousandths off of them too. So they are going to be very, very close as here it comes. Finally, they are going into lap number 14. The white flag flying. Victor Miranda, first place. Juan Blanat, second. Dino Filippo, third. Who is going to come out on top as they are about to crank it up another level going into the last lap? It is now or never for these drivers.
Indeed, Blanat only has a couple of corners left to go in terms of overtaking opportunities here. One is the corkscrew and the other one is the last corner on the way to the start-finish line. So not many opportunities that he has left. And for Filippo as well, he's gonna have to back it up a bit because if anything were to happen to these two in front, he will be there in contention to take the race win. So all to play for here. The final lap of the race and 3 drivers in contention for the win.
So right now, they're coming up to the crest, so we'll see who gets into the corkscrew. It looks like still Victor Miranda. So again, they're trying to be as aggressive as they can while still playing it safe. But right now, it looks like, let's see if Juan Blanat is able to get a little bit better out of the corner from here. As we'll see, the last corner has been a great opportunity to overtake. So again, right now, it's going to be now or never. Will Juan Blanat be able to overtake Victor Miranda? Victor Miranda over close, so no, he's getting right up to the back of his bumper, but it looks like Victor Miranda will walk away with heat number 2. Big congratulations, Victor Miranda first place, Juan Blanat second, and Dino Filippo coming in third place. So Juan Blanat played a little bit safer, but we have another battle right here, another drag race to the line coming in. Bruno De Carmo, Benitez, and Soriano right there. So another 4 drivers across the line as everyone else falls in right behind. Great race for heat number 2 as well. So last few drivers coming across the line. Unfortunately though, can see there, we did have a few drivers out of the race with the likes of Viriel, Dantas, Chico, and Verone. So Verone in the middle of the pack and then got into an incident that then put him into the pits. So aggressive driving all throughout, but that is how the cards lay.
Indeed, how the cookie crumbles for some, but for other drivers, the likes of Dino Filippa, at least that's a good way to end the day by finishing on the podium. Blake Knight, however, despite holding the fast lap, just couldn't crack it at the end. At the front though, Victor Miranda soaked out the pressure all the way to just win it by 0.4 of a second here, Kevin.
And that too, like we said, he was about that close almost the entire race. Juan Blanat following Victor Miranda, but ultimately Victor Miranda, your winner, followed by second place Juan Blanat. Third place Dino Filippa, followed in fourth Gael Valero, Tobias Soriano in fifth, Bruno De Carmo sixth place, Ralph Benitez in seventh, Jackson Asenje eighth place, Francesco Biasiotto ninth, Gaston Culavi in 10th, Arjen Reutemann in 11th place, Marcelo Reales 12th, Pedro Dean coming in 13th, Tim State 14th, Diego Villarreal 15th, 16th place is Evandro Dantas, Martin Chico in 17th, and rounding out in 18th place we have Nicolas Verone. But like we said, unfortunately, looked like when the checker flag was going, those guys were still in the pits. So crazy race, but Juan Blanat also able to get the fastest lap. So I look forward to seeing what these drivers have come tomorrow and the rest of the season. So Amir, it's been a great opening to AMX Season 5. We've had great battles. Race number 1, race number 2. A lot of these drivers now that in Season 5 they can be here for both races. Absolutely putting on a great show.
Really, it's the best way to encapsulate, isn't it? How it's come leaps and bounds, this championship. Now it's called a World Championship, so a lot of these drivers will be declared world champions at the end of the season. And the driver early doors that has actually come up fighting here is Jackson Resende. He's had 2 immediate Heat 1 wins, and now is well and truly in contention for the championship. But other drivers, make no mistake, will still be there by season's end. The likes of Valero, the likes of Kieran Harrison in the TCR class, and all them boys who've been in here since we first started. It was really good racing, and the Porsche Cup cars around Laguna Seca, top notch. Definitely was one of the highlights of the day here, how good the racing was.
To one of the fan favorite tracks with one of the fan favorite cars. So looks like here too we'll have to hear from some of the drivers, what was going through their mind going through this track today. Great season opener. That too, like we said, tons of great battles on. We've seen Gaston Culavi, Victor Miranda, and even now too we had seen the likes of some more real life racers such as Verone coming in here today. So this gets me super excited for all of these. So I believe we'll see if we can get from one of our racers and also one of last season's champions just to kind of walk us through what was going through that race. So we'll have here very soon. Hopefully we'll be able to get into the room. We'll see. But Amir, I know we're almost closing out for day number 1, but it does look like we are ready to go into the interview. So, all right, and we are here joined with Gael Valero. Gael, how are you feeling after racing 2 races in a row today?
Tired, as expected.
Are you glad to see that the rules changed up now for Season 5? Previously, only able to choose 1 race a day. What are your thoughts on being able to come back, having 2 races per day?
I used to be like that before, so I'm too out of my world. Just that, yeah, we used to focus really 1 race per night, and then maybe now you have to compromise one of the others. If you do only 1, for example, especially the second one, you have a bit more time to get on the server, train. That's what it is, but we also have all kinds of races now. We have this AMX 20 6 races. We have the ACC races. So, bit of new things to try.
And speaking of the ACC races, I know you primarily race in iRacing, especially with your team Apex. Could we expect you to possibly be joining any of the Assetto Corsa Competizione races this season?
Yeah, sure. We'll see tomorrow. I got back, made a few races with my Ford, so I'm getting a first taste of the Ford in ACC, and then gonna see it coming.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a lot of classes. It's mostly going to be AMX 5 races. Is there anything on the schedule that you are excited about? Any track or car combinations that you're hoping?
No, not particularly. I like everything. Maybe we should have some IndyCar AMX up, please. But you know, I'm gonna be quite busy, I think, with that, and we'll see how the races go, basically.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. We will see you back tomorrow, and also we hope to see some of your teammates on here also join us for AMX this season. But also, congratulations from last season's champion, Gael Valero, looking to bring on a whole new slew of racing this season. Gael, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Kevin. See you.
So you heard it first there from one of our champs, one of the best sim drivers and a fan favorite of AMX, Gael Valero. So now coming back, closing out race day 1, great season opener. Amir, what are your hopes coming into tomorrow and also moving forward? What are some of the things that you hope to see from these races?
Looking forward to the ACC one first and foremost for tomorrow, because again, it just shakes things up a bit. It doesn't have to be all, the same sort of game every single time. We shake things up, get to see some things that are different, and how some of the guys who are here can give out with that one. We heard Gael say that he is going to be more involved here, so can't wait to see how some of those guys who are proverbial iRacing specialists adapt to ACC. That's one. And two, I think pretty much the same as well. The racing has been good every single time we come on track, regardless of which car and track combo. And I'm going to be expecting more of the same here this season, Kevin.
And like you said, so now that the Assetto Corsa Competizione will be part of AMX 5, so that should definitely see a lot more interest now that there's more money on the line for it. Well, I say, similar money, but it being a different race format is definitely going to be a breath of fresh air. So a lot of the drivers you've seen, Gael Valero, hopefully we will see more drivers from today show up tomorrow for Assetto Corsa Competizione and also iRacing. So today has been a great opener, and we hope to see everyone out there. We love seeing everyone on the chat. Again, make sure to follow us, AMX Global, on our Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere else, and go to amxrace.com for the full schedule. And also, for those of you watching at home, if you want to join in, all of the information on our website. So signing out, race day number 1, our season 5 opener. I am Kevin here with Amir. We will see you all tomorrow.